Grand rising, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Okay, TikTok is tripping. Why you gotta treat me so bad with the ticket talk? I'm not getting my camera. Where's my camera? Tell you what, we're gonna stop TikTok and start over, maybe. Okay, I'm not getting a picture on TikTok, which is weird. I might have to stop this TikTok and start over because it's not acting right. But welcome to the show. I'm your host, Coach Renz. And today we hopefully will have a conversation. TikTok is tripping, so we're gonna end this one and start back over on TikTok.
Sean over here, Yuri.
Here we go. There we go. Yeah, working right. Welcome everybody. How you doing on this glorious Tuesday? I believe it is. It's glorious Tuesday. Glorious Tuesday. Hopefully everybody's having a great day. For us to have a conversation about, did the Jesus of the Bible ever exist? Because the answer to that is no. Jesus of the Bible never existed, nor does most of the characters within the Bible and within the New Testament existed either. So that's going to be our topic of conversation today. I invite any and all who think that they can prove that there is enough information to validate a Jesus, a historical Jesus, a biblical Jesus. Come on up. Yeah. Before I do anything, I want to thank everybody who supports the channel, those who are subscription holders, members, subscribers, those who, and there's a difference between subscription holders on Facebook and people who follow the channel. There's a difference between subscribers on YouTube and those who are members, those who follow the page on TikTok and those who are in the fan club. I think both, but welcome all. I give even more to the ones who support it. If you do a super chat on YouTube, your question, your statement will definitely be read or answered. So I want to let people know that. When stars are grateful, thank you. So the fact that Jesus don't exist, there is absolutely no reason. There's one thing that no reason for me to worship him, no reason for me to believe in him, no reason for me to say that, oh, somebody else died for my sin. If I was someone who believed in the Bible, then I wouldn't believe in Jesus in the first place, because within the Old Testament it says that now you are accountable for your own sins. So why do I need so nobody is going to die for me? You have to be accountable for your own sins. If I was going to believe in the Bible, the covenant made in Jeremiah says that this God would just forgive us for our sins. So why do I need somebody to come and die for my sins? Why do I need a blood sacrifice, a human sacrifice? One of the very things that the Bible says that is that people in Christianity believe is horrific today, that blood sacrifices, human sacrifices. If I went out and I sacrificed a goat today, they would be like, oh, animal cruelty. But a sacrifice of a man's blood that you replicate at this Eucharist, that's okay. That's fine. Can someone prove something that never existed? Nope. That's part of the problem. Can't prove something that never existed. If it never existed, you're not going to be able to prove it, which is why Christians struggle to prove it, and which is why they depend on documentations. And the only real documentation that supports a Jesus character is the Bible. The book in itself cannot be the resource that proves its existence. If that was the case, then my almost 3,000 book comic book collection proves every character in my comic book collection. So, no. You can't. It's not. You're never going to be able to prove a mythological character. Just like I can't. Can you prove Hercules exists? No. Can you prove that, my favorite one is Achilles? Can you prove Achilles exists? Absolutely not. It's just mythologies. Value Nation. How you doing?
How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. Are you a believer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is your proof that the biblical Jesus exists?
Okay. So am I a believer in Christianity?
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have been more specific. You are absolutely right. My apologies. What do you believe? You believe in what?
I'm a truth seeker. I kind of believe in self-mastery. It's the key to Christ consciousness.
So in order to have Christ consciousness, who is Christ? Is Jesus Christ?
It's an example.
Was it a real person?
I think God. Yeah. Jesus existed.
Okay. So what is your proof that Jesus ever existed then?
There's a Jesus-like figure in every single religion known to man. Whether his name was Jesus, Yahweh, Thoth, Buddha, Krishna, whatever you want to give it, these are just examples of an embodiment of energy that we all can be examples of. And not only be examples, but we could experience. I think that Jesus was just another one of those figures.
So in your Christ consciousness, as you call it, then it's okay for you to be ethnocentric, or what we would call racist today.
It depends. I think that Christ consciousness wouldn't look at division as an aspect of creation. I think it looks at it as a form of unity. Therefore, he would approach it with love.
So it was love when he called the Canaanite woman a dog?
Who, Jesus?
Yeah. That was love?
I don't know if that actually happened. I ain't got nothing to do with that.
I mean,
I can't speak for another man. That's kind of wrong. You know what I'm talking about?
But that's you say if he's an archetype, that's the story though. That's part of the story. He called the Canaanite woman a dog, and then only after she accepted that she was a dog and she would accept the crumbs from the table, then he healed her child.
I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't even know. I don't believe half the stories in the Bible are real.
Okay, but you're saying that.
I'm sorry.
You're saying
accurate. I don't believe they're accurate.
You're saying that that Jesus was an archetype and he's real, but his personality doesn't display this total love aspect. He has flaws, major flaws in this storyline. So why would you put him as an anointed person?
You gotta realize this. I didn't put him as an anointed person. I just said he embodies the energy of Christ. The energy of Christ is something that reflects unconditional love. So whether he called her whatever he decided to call her, and she accepted it, and then he still healed her son or child, that's still a form of unconditional love, whether you see it with conditions or not. I do believe that being a human adds conditions in general.
Hold on, bro.
So
Hold on. You can't have unconditional love, but yet you have a condition for that love. When he told the woman, when the woman accepted that she was a dog, then he healed her child. That's him showing her love after she accepts the condition that she is lower than the Israelites.
I am going based off the evidence that you are giving me. I don't know anything about this story. I'm just trying to feed off of it. But I can tell you this, that's not an example of Christ's energy.
But this is the person that's supposed to be an archetype of what you're calling Christ's energy, which, what does Christ mean to you?
The Western philosophy. Christ means the highest embodiment of self.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Christ means anointed. It just means anointed one.
But
That's
when
it.
you look at somebody who's moving at the highest value of themselves, they are anointed.
And you think that that dude was moving at the highest value of himself, being
I don't know.
treating that
Like I said, I can't speak for another man. I can only speak for myself. I know I try to move with a sense of unconditionality and unity.
but you are using you say you believe that this person existed and they were an archetype. So and now you're saying that you don't know. Why would you why do you give credit to someone but you don't know their story?
I don't. I never gave credit to Jesus.
You did in the beginning of our conversation. You said that he and all these other people were these archetypes of or examples of Christ.
I give credit to myself. I feel like nobody can give you credit better than you can because you decide to integrate or just consume the information. You know what I mean? And I'm an integrator of information.
So would you like
I give myself the credit?
Would you like to retract your statement about Jesus being an archetype?
No, I think we're all archetypes. I think there's just different levels of archetypes.
So what level was Jesus on?
He'd be up there, you know what I mean?
Why is he up there?
Just based off word of mouth, stories, and what they say it represents. You know what I'm saying? As far as Jesus, I don't even, they say Jesus didn't exist back then, so Yahweh, whatever you want to call it.
Yeshua.
Yeshua. It's all the same. It's all the same. It's just different names.
So you want to give credit to are you simply just giving credit to the stories that you like, but the stories about him that you don't like, you're not going to give credit to those stories?
Yeah, because I don't know those stories. That's like you saying, I heard Jay-Z was touching little girls. I don't know that. You know what I'm saying? That's a bad example, but like I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
If I was going to base my life of how I live my life on the example of somebody else, and if that person was Jay-Z, then I would make sure that I have studied and I know the stories of Jay-Z.
Oh,
but it sounds like you're basing it on this general idea that people have about Jesus without knowing the specifics about Jesus.
That's all I can do because I don't know the deep details behind Jesus. Granted, I've been wanting to investigate more and more about Jesus, Yahweh, because people keep calling me Jesus on my page, which is getting ironically weird. But I don't know much about Jesus.
The book is right there. So, but okay, wait. If you don't know much about him, then why would you put him in a category?
I grew up Christian. I know enough. You know what I'm saying? I know the basics. I've also edified myself to the point where I understand spirituality on a whole nother level compared to most people. So therefore, I kind of take that information and compare it to what they say Christ is like, and it's similar to living in your highest spectrum of energy.
But how you know if they're telling you the truth if you haven't read it, or how you know they're telling you the whole story if you haven't read it?
Read the whole Bible?
Yeah. Or it was the new. If you're reading Jesus, then you're just reading the New Testament. But
I got a question for you. Do you think that learning about Jesus comes from the Bible?
Yeah.
You know, okay. Are there any of the books that talks about the journey of Jesus outside of the Bible?
No.
Okay, then that's where you're wrong, and that's where you're getting misinformation.
Well, let me wait. Let me retract that. Are there other stories that were written that people that are now called heresies that are about this character Jesus? Yes, there are. You got Gnostic writings, you got the Marcion writings, you got a bunch of other people who wrote back then. So yes, and to that degree. I was thinking historically. My brain normally thinks historically, but yes, you do have other people like who have written stories. Like you got the infancy gospel of Thomas. So the Jesus, if you accept that, then you're saying that Jesus threw a kid off the top of a roof and then made him come back to life and told everybody, don't worry about it. That's Christ's mind.
I ain't gonna lie. If I had the abilities to just do something like that, I'd be like, hey man, don't worry about this little bad little motherfucker. Watch it. Hey, bring him back. Hey, did you learn your lesson? Don't be stealing from the stove.
Now the kid wasn't doing nothing. The kid was on the roof playing with him like a normal kid would do.
I don't know, man. I never heard that story. That's deep though. You could do something like that.
Okay, so what other stories about Jesus have you read and studied then that you get this a different identity of him?
Well, Jesus, you know, I've heard of him, you know, healing the blind, healing some ears, exorcising certain demons, coming, you know, saying dying, coming back to life.
Okay, that's all Bible.
Learning about the missing 33 years of, the missing, I think it was 12 years of his life where he was learning his spiritual path. And
wait, where did you learn? Where did you get the missing 12 years from?
I think it's missing 12. Maybe is it 12?
No,
12?
yeah. Where did you get those missing 12 years from? Even though they're not really missing, but where did you get them from?
Oh my God, what is that book called? I know it was interesting and it's deep fuck though. And it made me go on a journey to understand different.
Let me ask you a question. Was it written? Was it something that was written way back in the day, or was it something that was written by more recent authors? This book that you read.
It don't matter.
No, it does. Because if you was the one of the major places that people get the missing 12 years of Jesus, as they like to call it, is the infancy gospel of Thomas, which is where he pushed the kid off the roof.
That's what it was, the gospel of Thomas, and you mentioned that.
I mean, the infancy gospel of Thomas, and So, how did you miss the part where he kicked the kid off the roof? I'm not sure you read this though.
I'm gonna tell you what I listened to. I don't know if it was a whole book. It was about a 33 minute summarized version potentially, but it blew my mind.
So you never read it?
No. I listened to a lot of audiobooks. But that particular book, he was speaking on the Gospel of Thomas, and he was giving us a reference point of it. The missing years of 12, the 12 missing years of Jesus' life. So
you're listening to and following someone's abridged version of a book that you can easily pick up and read yourself.
Well, you asked me for examples. I was just telling you, know what I'm saying, that the things that he did, you know what I'm saying?
Right. But
12 missing years that are not in the Bible.
Well, actually, 12 years are in the Bible. The 12 years are in the Bible. It's just in conflicting stories between two different stories in the Bible. There's not a missing 12 years.
I can't argue that fact because I don't debate nothing about Jesus. He ain't got nothing to do with my personal development or growth. As far as it pertains to you know what I'm saying, accepting who I am. I'm not Jesus.
Okay, but
even though people keep calling me Jesus, is weird.
Okay, you're using this whole Christ mind, Christ energy. These things are based on the character of Jesus, which is written in the canonized books and some of the non-canonized books, but then you don't know these books. So it just doesn't make sense that you would elevate this mythological creature and utilize a title that is more akin to this creature for your life.
What do you got against Jesus?
I don't have anything against Jesus because Jesus don't exist. So why would I have something? Okay. I can't be against something that don't exist.
I got a question for you. Now this will be blowing my mind. Because if something does not exist, what behooves you to argue about the non-existence of something?
Because I used to believe it and I'm helping people free themselves from believing in it.
And I got a question.
Helping them go through the process.
If religion has the ability to create the ability to make mothers better mothers, fathers better fathers, people better people, why would you try to take that from them?
Because it also has the so if you were, I know you're probably new to me. I have constantly said on a lot of my videos that if Christianity keeps you from, if you need Christianity or religion to keep you from being a murderer, being a rapist, being all these evil things, what I determine as evil, then stay with your religion. I don't want you to leave. If that's the only reason you don't go around raping girls, stay in your religion.
Right.
But at the same time, religion is the reason why there are more wars. The religion is the reason why there are so many so many rapes, molestations going on. It is the reason why there is so much poverty. It also is a reason for all the failures of society as well.
And that's 50-50, but
Hitler believed that he was doing God's work by killing the Jews and and black people and gypsies and the handicapped. He thought he was doing God's work.
Right.
So it is not 50-50. It's readily apparent that people have utilized religion to harm people. John Smith and the Mormons utilized it to harm people. Waco, Texas, they used it to harm people. Jim Jones used it to harm people.
Jim Jones, the rapper?
Oh, Jim Jones he was a minister who led about 300-400 people down to Guyana, and then when they came, they all committed ritual suicide.
I'm about to say, I guess you're right, because the whole New York need to get thrown away.
No, but religion has been used to monopolize, manipulate people. Down in
That's where you're wrong. Okay. I'm not gonna say you're wrong because you're not wrong. You're right, but the thing is that nothing in itself is right or wrong. Nothing is evil. Nothing is good. Only you place the dictation on whether something is evil or good.
Yeah, we can agree on that.
So, right. So that's what I'm saying. You're not wrong, but at the end of the day, it is the user that chooses how to experience this as a good thing or bad thing. You can't say religion makes someone bad or it makes someone go to sleep because infinity is a thing that is in place in this world. Infinity can't express itself if only one religion was possible, if only one person was possible. Infinity is an aspect of infinite progression and growth. That's why new religions will be created.
New religions will be created, and so let me ask you this: if a religion says that it is okay for you to genocide people, is that a good religion or a bad religion?
That's a bad aspect of that part of the religion. Yes.
Okay, well there you go with Christianity and Judaism and Islam. You gotta realize this. They say you can genocide people.
As Christians, Jews, and any other religion, honestly, they don't take every aspect of the book and input it because they take what serves them and they use that because not everything in that book was made in today's times in agreement. There are rules and regulations in there that apply from yonder years and eons ago. So
and those changes happen because man said, you know what? That's messed up. They used to do this in the past, and it was based on their religion. But that's messed up.
It's important to have it.
So therefore, we should get rid of it.
That's why we need. Listen,
we need religion so that we can look at what people was doing back in the day, based on the same religion, and then say, "No, that wasn't right. That wasn't good. Let's do something different." Then we should get rid of the old one and start a new one.
It's not even religion; it's evil. I think what you're trying to do is make it and portray it as something bad. And debate it to people to make them get off of Jesus boat or religious boat.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there is nothing wrong with having a bad or evil equation in life because it is what allows us to experience the good. Without that, we would not have a balance or homeostasis to experience. We will only experience one side instead of the other. And these two sides allow us to create a third energy which allows expansion of infinity to create itself and expand and grow forevermore.
We don't need in other words, that's a whole lot of word salad, but we don't need that to have infinite growth. All we have to do to just the fact that we have different cultures around the world occurring and even subcultures within cultures, that in itself is enough for infinite growth to occur, which is why infinite growth has always occurred within every culture, regardless of whether or not they're religious or not.
You're saying infinite, though. You said that's not.
It's the same word. It's the same thing that you just
you can't put that. No. What I'm saying is infinity is an expression of everything moving inward and outward everywhere, and at all times.
Okay.
So you can't put it's not for infinity when infinity is an expression of something that is not, or something that is.
Okay, my guy, we're getting.
You see what I'm saying, though, right?
We're getting off subject, but none of that matters. That ain't what we're talking about.
Well, all I'm saying is don't portray this as something negative. When people need Jesus,
it is negative. It is negative.
They use Jesus as a tool Because everything in life is nothing but tools to enhance your life and the quality of it.
Well, I mean, everything is a tool. It can be used to build something or to destroy something. And religion is more destructive than it is beneficial. So I'm going to go to the next caller, but I appreciate you.
All right.
All right, thanks. We are here to talk about proving Jesus, proving any of the characters of the New Testament. We're not getting into philosophical debates because that just goes into a big ass circle. I know that I didn't see the order everybody was trying to come up in over here on TikTok. And then I know Will came up over here on Facebook, YouTube. Will.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I want to pick up with the last guy dropped the ball and retracted.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
doing
talk to one person at a time, but go ahead.
Yeah, because I kind of get where you're coming from, but I kind of get where you're coming from, and the reason I say you dropped the ball, but when
You get where who is coming from? Him or me?
No, him, not you.
Okay. And who dropped the ball? So I dropped the ball is what you're saying.
No, not you, sir.
Okay.
Him, because like I used to be a Christian before, and I'm going through my awakening. And when he said that Jesus figured like the other, I think he meant like kind of like Buddha was, Dionysius, Shiva, to where they're not part of the system, but awakening to a bigger system that's beyond the Abrahamic ways and stuff like that. Hence probably why he said he worshiped different gods. Like he was sacrificed.
Will, you're sounding a little garbled, so I caught like every third word.
Yeah, I got like a double thing here. Give me a second. Hello?
Okay. That's better, I think.
All right, yeah, I had two screens open. My apologies.
Yeah,
I think with the last guy, when he was saying that Jesus was a figure, I think, almost like how Buddha was, Dionysius, that maybe not from the Abrahamic matrix, but something from beyond, like when Jesus said in my father's house there are many rooms, that could have meant many dimensions, through my near-death experience. And as I was there dying, it was kind of spiritual, but at the same time, I know as the DMT, dimensional tripping in my body, I was also creating my own heaven through my own fear and guilt and through my own happiness. I was my own judge, jury, and executioner. With that, I felt like I built a heaven. Like I saw people that were dead, I saw people that weren't dead, and people who I didn't know, meaning I was coming back. I guess that's what I say in heaven. It's infinite. There's no beginning nor ending. So when it comes like the last guy was trying to say, maybe he was a figure out here, maybe it wasn't real. I don't think he was, but I think he was a figure put here for our awakening.
Yeah. I don't think he was a figure that was put here, period. Never existed. That these are all just made up stories in order to try to explain some philosophy or religion that people are believing in.
So would it be something created by Josephus in the Caesar Messiah?
Could have been Josephus. Could have been Marcion. It seemed like it most likely would have been Marcion, more so than Josephus, since we don't have any of the writings occurring before then. But there was already a pre-religion based on another dude named Crestius that had existed in first century or since about 2nd century BCE.
Correct.
Well, no, just first century BCE. You had a guy named Crestius who had a very similar situation. You also had, in the time frame which would have been a contemporary of this fictional character Jesus, of Apollonius of Tyana, whose stories are incredibly similar as well.
Yeah.
So the whole Jesus could be an offshoot from Crestius or Apollonius, and then people just like with David Koresh just picked it up and made their own versions.
Exactly.
But I don't think an actual person, Yeshua, from Nazareth, which wasn't really a town in the time frame of Jesus' life, was walking around doing miracles and all that kind of stuff.
True, because according to Josephus, there was a couple of guys doing miracles as well. One got crushed by a boulder, I believe.
Yes. Well, I don't remember the exact miracles that they were doing, but I know Josephus does talk about people doing some miracles.
Because growing up like in a religious household, like I used to going to church, I used to ask all the right questions because I would see the minister pray for these people, and they were all fall backwards. But everywhere that I looked in the Bible and people falling backwards, it was in the presence of evil. But when God was present, supposedly they felt forward and prostrated. So it's like, to me, I think I grew up seeing a lot of evil being hit as good.
I don't think it matters which direction you fall. But I think all of that is a lot of emotional things. Like you get people caught up into their emotions and into them hoping to have something better than the life that they're living now and having something to have hope for. And that's the draw. You know, I'm living on a Roman oppression. We've been being told for the last 600, 700, 800 years that we're going to be free by our God, but yet no Messiah has come to free us. So this story of Jesus, and I'm walking around in the second century or in the first century, this story of Chrestus, it sounds great. But then here comes this story about a guy named Jesus, and it's the late first century, and that sounds really good. Let me go with that one.
If he came back today, that'll make him a liar because he told his people back then, I assure you, you'll see me come in this generation. That passed 10 times already.
Yeah, if he did exist, he's a false prophet. Because he didn't come back. And he's a false prophet because he didn't free the Israelites. He's a false prophet. He didn't reinstate the Levitical priesthood for sacrifices. He didn't even sit on the throne of David. He didn't do shit. He didn't do one thing. He's Deuteronomy 18. There will be many false prophets and liars.
Correct.
He just simply doesn't exist. And there's nothing historically that would demonstrate that Jesus exists.
That's why I tell people in the time that you feel that you're passing and all the DMT is trickling out, make peace with yourself. Hence, let's say you're not a religious person, but one thing you can't contest is that the mind, the brain, and heart, produces energy, and energy doesn't die; it travels. So while you're here, let's concentrate on being positive energy. That would went to something different.
Yeah, and all that DMT in your brain, it creates hallucinations based on what you have perceived of the world and what you have imagined in your conscious and subconscious.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate your time, brother.
All right, appreciate you. Thank you, Will.
You got it.
Have a good one. Shit. I had a dream last night. And my body responded to the dream because somebody pushed me in my dream last night, and my body mimicked the push. And I tried to recreate it in my conscious, that push feel, that the way my body moved. I couldn't do it. It was only in the dream state. I did look up on the show like, some motherfucker. I got ghosts. We got ghosts up in here pushing on me and shit. Oh, let's see. We got we had a lot of people waiting, but I don't know what order these requests came in. So I'm just gonna start clicking them as I go. I don't know who's next. Normally I pay attention. My apologies for not. What the hell, man? I guess people don't have patience. See, I know people want to get in when I'm talking to somebody, but I don't do multiple people. So that's not going to happen. Johnny, be good.
What's going on, Rizzo?
How you doing, Johnny? Oh, shit. Wait.
For a
Wait.
second, I'm still at the job, but I got a second.
Hold on. So, Johnny, I hit Henry, but I didn't think Henry was coming on. So let me just pause, mute your microphone for me, Johnny.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the patience. Go ahead, Henry.
Hey, what's going on, Renzo? I've been out of pocket for a minute, man. I thought you was gone for a second.
Oh, this John Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was out of pocket for about 2 months.
Yeah, man. So I'm late getting back here, but one of the things I want to mention here is that when the young man who was going through all the Gish Gallop, let me ask you something, which is normally what you get from folks who don't really have a solid answer, but they have spurious conversation which he engaged in.
Yes.
It was actually 18 years that were missing from the life of Jesus. Because when you go back and look at Horus, Aset, and also Osiris, that was the original Trinity. People seem to forget that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost came 3,000 years after the Father, the Son, and the Mother.
Right.
That is where all this was derived from. The other thing here is that when they talk about the 18 years that were missing in Jesus' life, this is how you know people don't really keep up with history, because in the Egyptian times, which you have a lot of folks who will argue about saying, oh, this is a modern theory, between the ages of, let's say, 15 or 33, which is the period of growth for the young man, they don't really count that because the young man is becoming a man. He's going through actions leading up to his adulthood. So that's why that's not accounted for. So when people ask the question, well, Jesus' missing years, oh, it was this was that, it's people who don't know that Jesus is from the template of Horus. Therefore, when it was interpreted that Horus had 18 missing years, of course, now Jesus does. But no one ever stopped to question why those years were missing. But if you don't know anything about your African history, you would never know that.
I understand what you're saying, and I agree with it. I understand where they get the 12 years from, because they are combining Matthew's story with the Luke story, and then in Luke he says he's 12 years old when he shows up at the temple.
We know Matthew never existed and all that, so that's where you get that mistake and mess from.
And then with Luke talking about him coming to the temple at 12, so they'll say those missing 12 years. But then after 12, there's nothing about Jesus till he's 30 in the story, because in the Hebrew culture, you're not a man, even though they have their bar mitzvah and all that bullshit. You're not truly a man out of your father's guidance until you're 30 years old.
Exactly. So count 12 and 30. 30 from 12, that is 18. Again, the 18 years.
Right.
Which is why, again, I tell people the proof is in the output, because in the fact of the matter here, the issue of Jesus is that he was a creation. He was nothing more than a carbon copy of who came before him, which is Osiris. But also people seem to forget that Serapis, or Serapis, however you want to put it, was who the physical picture came from. Because remember, Serapis was based off of Ptolemy the First Soter, who was one of 4 of Alexander the Great's generals. And even then, if people never heard of, do you remember the Maccabees? I don't know if you and I ever talked about it, the Apocrypha, but the Maccabees, that was actual history that used to be in the Bible. This is part of the books that are no longer there. If you look up the Maccabees, you will see where it actually discussed Alexander the Great coming into Egypt. But they took that part out, and a lot of the others, because it would mess with the supernatural capabilities of fictional Jesus.
Now, I like what you said, but I'm gonna add a couple of things to it, and two corrections. Well, let me add this: the Jesus character is a compilation of more than just the Egyptian story as well. Because when you look at people that I had named earlier, like Apollonius of Tyana, Dionysus, they incorporate some of the Mediterranean, Mesopotamian characters that have similarities as well. And then
I was speaking from an African standpoint, my bad.
Okay, I get you. Now, the other thing that I be careful of saying, they never took the Maccabees out of the Bible because it never was part of the Bible. The canonized Bible that we have today never had the Maccabees in it. The first canon of more of a modern day Bible was the Marcion Bible in 144, which only had some of the letters, like 6 or 7 of the letters of Paul, the Gospel of Luke, and that was it. Now the Old Testament, the Septuagint, at one point it had the Maccabees in it, but then when they did a canon in 370, something like that, that's when that wasn't part of what they canonized.
Right. I'm speaking about the original. Notice, whenever I speak, I never talk this modernizing everything that was chopped, screwed, and piece together. I'm speaking of the original where the Maccabees were. That's where, at least what I'm speaking of, what you're mentioning right now, before the canonized versions.
Yeah, now, yeah, I'm with you. Before there was a canonized version, the Maccabees was a very popular reading for and believed to be godly scripture and so on and so forth. So I agree with you right there. Yeah, in that viewpoint of it. I'm with you.
But that's, I'm sorry, go ahead, man. There's an echo on my side. My apologies.
No, I'm good.
So what I was going to say, ultimately in the end, what people need to understand here is that when it came to Jesus, and especially when we look at the plight of blacks nowadays, Jesus was never intended to be someone to lead us to freedom or to lead us out of captivity. Jesus has always been here to contain us inside of our mental enclosure, because when we came to America as slaves, there were no alphas, there were no nukes, there were no Democrats, there were no Republicans. They were just Africans. And the only way that we were introduced on a mass scale to Jesus was through malice, deception, and the sharp tongue of a bullwhip.
Yeah.
And people fail to also remember that the Jesuits sold blacks. They were some of the primary prosperers of slavery of Africans. And not a lot of blacks realize this. And they don't realize that in 1455, Pope Nicholas V sanctioned the slavery of Africans and the taking of the land of Africa, to which even today they justify that by calling us animals, by calling us savages, and calling us apes. So people need to understand here that when you talk about, oh, pray my Jesus, Jesus washed me in the blood. No, Jesus doesn't give a damn about you. First of all, he never existed. And second, if we look at slavery being a business, which it was amongst the clergy, Jesus was a CEO. He was the captor, he was the enslaver, and he was the oppressor. Yep. I'll leave it right there, bro.
I appreciate you, John.
All right, man. Thanks for having me up, man. I have to catch up to you in some emails, something like that, so we can collab.
All right, hit me up.
Hello.
All right. Later. Johnny, unmute your mic.
Yes, sir. How you be, sir?
Pretty good. Thank you for appreciate the patience and understanding.
Oh yeah, that ain't no problem. That's what we got to have in discussions like this, man. I mean, because I give you props, man. You're doing something that a lot of people don't want to do, and that's to have these uncomfortable conversations about this stuff. And someone put this stuff forth for us to abide by, but then someone else says, "Hey, don't question it." So now we have to question these situations. You want me to go about a situation for an eternal period of time, but then you tell me don't question it, that's a red flag.
That's a big red flag.
It's like, yes, because like the last brother was saying, so much stuff got plagiarized, out of these different areas, Mesopotamia, Rome, Greece, all up and down in Mediterranean, because at that time it wasn't nothing but black people on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going back to an ancient aspect, which should start there, because you're going to need ancient knowledge to move through these modern times. So we have to get the historical aspect down to a T. And I'm like you, that's just a man-made alien creature, this JC cat. He's the biggest pimp in the world. You're talking about dying wine, my goodness.
No, I agree. It is, and that's why I like to go back as far as we can. I go back to as far back as we can go when it comes to understanding all of this stuff, because even when we look at the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Mesopotamians, and we don't have a lot of information from a lot of the ancient sub-Saharans.
Yes.
At the end of the day, ain't none of these gods that they would make, that they would calling or making, that they were worshiping, none of them were real.
No.
Not a one. No. So there's no reason for me to worship any god that anybody ever created or came up with, because none of them can be proven to be valid. Unfortunately, we live in a world now where the major one is Jesus.
Yes, that's it.
For right now, there's more Jesus worshipers than anybody else. In 30 years, there'll be less. They won't be number one no more. But
because we're in the beginning stages of that right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Muslims are outpacing Christians in birth rates. So they're gonna be more Muslims in 30 years than there are black people. I mean, than there are Christians.
Yes.
But
and if we go back, like you say, it's always actually been more Muslims than Christians. But the whole global concept has been JC.
yeah, now our world does operate more on a Jesus kind of a bullshit than anything else. Which
Yes, I mean, yeah. And there's the situation right there. I mean, it's irrational for an Eskimo to worship a Jewish Messiah.
it
You know what I'm
is.
saying?
And especially like what John was saying, like John Henry said, there is not one group of people who can define their lineage today that came to Jesus through peaceful means. Almost, yeah. Even I know Europeans feel like they're so far away from it, but they were forced into Christianity. As soon as Theodosius said that all of Rome is going to be Christian or I'm gonna kill you, your family was forced into Christianity.
Yes.
So you're Irish, your family was forced into Christianity. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
You know.
Dutch, your family was forced into it.
Exactly.
And I think that's where that might have been the beginning step on getting that thing going global. We have to press this from a global aspect because you have to understand Paul and Josephus and Mark and all them, that's who helped the Roman government plagiarize all of their ancient stuff. That's why so many books taken up out of that Bible. And they give you these situations as if these people existed. No, this stuff came from the priests. You know, we had our own priest that was fucking scientist.
Yeah, but even they were fucked up with their religion, though.
Yeah.
Them believing that pharaohs were gods and that Ra was having all these damn kids and that's how creation happened. They still was missing the boat.
Yeah. And we don't come from creation. Creation, that's a prison house. Got you trapped down here.
Yeah, ain't no being. My creators is Mary and Harold. Those are my creators. Mary and Harold.
Mary and Harold.
That's right. They had sex and I came out.
Yes. And all this stuff, you know, that he is the true supreme. But what about all the other gods? Why did they have to give him as being the supreme?
Because they had guns and swords.
Yes.
Because if I was gonna
around saying be a Christian or die.
Yeah. If religion was by choice.
Yes.
And everybody you read religious texts and nobody was forcing you, no family, no culture. Not many people would choose Christianity.
No.
There are way more better religions to be a part of that actually have a better history, that has better lessons and teachings in it than Christianity.
Yes.
I would be a Taoist before I would ever be a Christian. Shit, I'd be a Taoist, a Hindu, a Buddhist, a Ifa. There are plenty of other religions I would choose well before Christianity. If you were just given all of them and said, hey, study all of them and pick which ones you like. I'm not going to pick the one that shows division and war and child molestation and all that stuff.
Yeah. Being obedient to your slave master, you know, that kind of rhetoric.
And I'm not going to choose one that's going to tell me that I got an ultimatum. Either you love me or you're going to burn for all eternity.
Yeah.
That's like,
want me to obey him.
Yeah, that's some bullshit. You know, that's not love.
It's obedience and shit.
Exactly.
That's that old male-dominated patriarchal bullshit.
Exactly.
It's all that old organized Hebrew getting fucked up your ass shit. All that old Rastafarian, Islamic male-dominated shit.
Yeah, you got it.
Damn, where the fucking woman at, man?
Yeah, I'd rather be Gnostic. At least in Gnosticism.
Yeah. That's the original Christendom that the whole world practiced at that particular time because it wasn't nothing but black people. We talking ancient black people, man. Wasn't nothing but us before the devil was created.
Wait a minute now. Are you calling white people the devil?
Shit, hey.
I can't go with that, man. White people ain't nothing but black people with less melanin because they adapted to an environment.
And I can go along
It's just
with you with that.
adaptation.
But on a physical earth standpoint, who would be the devil? Like you say, we can go back.
Each individual person, and then certain society as a group of people.
That's why.
But I
I'm
wouldn't
going
put
with you.
all of them into that same group. That'd be like saying that all of Europe is racist when you can go to Portugal and you won't have any problems. So I wouldn't.
That's true.
So you can't put everybody. We can't generalize. That makes us as bad as the ones who do generalize.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Right.
I totally agree with that.
Okay. Let me-
But they so crazy.
yes, they.
They gave us all this stuff. We done tried it. Still getting killed on national TV. Did it their way. We the most prayingest people in the world, but yet, as a race of people, our conditions ain't got no better. So that means somebody in heaven, God don't like your ass. As a race of people.
Now, as a people group, I will agree that all that praying ain't done shit.
Yes.
The only time
Ain't this shit?
progression has happened is when people stood up against the tyranny. That's it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that you can pray all day, your ass, it ain't gonna move the needle at all.
Your ass ain't moving nothing with something. All this spookism.
That's
That's all
all it is.
it is, man. All this sky daddy stuff, man. Like, come on now, y'all. You can't even tell babies that stuff nowadays, man.
I appreciate you being up here. Let me get some other people up here.
Hey, I appreciate you.
All right, thanks, Johnny.
Okay, thank you.
So for y'all who are new to my channel, let me explain something to you. I don't do multiple people at the same time. I happened to hit Johnny and John Henry I hit John Henry. I didn't think it was connecting, and so I hit John. So I know people be saying, let me come up, but I don't do it that way. Because one conversation at a time. Having a whole bunch of people talking over each other and trying to moderate that's not going to happen. Okay, so I'm hitting people who had requested, and some people fell off because that's what they're looking for. But there are other channels that do that. I'm just not one of them. OG coming up. Somebody on Facebook or YouTube said they wanted to come up. I put the link in the comments if you want to come up on Facebook or YouTube. I guess OG couldn't come up. He just went away. So right now the queue is empty. The queue is empty right now. Wait a minute. Somebody just requested. Francis. Okay. Let me start reading these names before I hit it. Francis.
Hi, brother.
How you doing? Are you a believer, Francis?
Yeah, I'm a believer.
Okay. So you believe Jesus existed?
Yes. I said as all the other believers, all the other blessed, godly people around the world. I overheard a little bit that you mentioned about the Mesopotamians and the Egyptians and all this other stuff. Why don't you believe?
Because I studied the Bible, and then I studied history, and I studied history and realized that Jesus is a made-up character, and he's no more different or better than any other made-up God.
Okay. Now,
so what's your proof that Jesus existed?
Did you read the part where he says that he requires mercy and not sacrifice?
I read that part, but
yeah,
then they sacrificed.
What does that mean to you?
Well, if I just read that part and that part alone, then I would think that what this guy requires is obedience
what
and
does
love.
mercy mean?
Does it say mercy?
Yeah.
I could have sworn it's
mercy, not sacrifice.
Where's that at?
Look it up.
Shit, you're quoting it. You should know where it's at.
I'll look it up.
Oh my. Okay, hold on. I'll look it up as well. I can probably find it faster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's the so you know the comic Batman,
Uh-huh.
where the Riddler he leaves clues. So in the kingdom of God, so let's
What?
put the Bible aside, right?
Why does your God have to leave clues? Why don't you just,
So in the okay, so you sound like a very smart man.
because hold on for one
No.
second. Wait a minute. Because in in Numbers 12 and 8, I just realized we went over this yesterday. It says that with him I speak face to face clearly, not in riddles, and he beholds from the form of the Lord. This is Moses talking to the people of the Israelites about how he talks to God. And he says it's clearly and not in riddles, but yet the Jesus character, you got riddles.
It's a different timeline.
So God is,
it's all about timeline.
so God is not the same. He's different. He changes it up.
No, so he first sent his first son Adam that stuffed it up, that ruined mankind's formality right up until this day. Right? So Mr. Jesus Man, he had to like clean up his mess. Right? So even till now, like a lot of the whole world, including Muslims, everyone, they are cursed to this day. Why? Because of Adam and Eve.
They're cursed,
including yourself.
I'm not cursed.
And
wait. Stop talking. My guy. If I start, and don't unmute yourself yet. Dude, I just said don't unmute yourself. All right. As the host of this show, I am going to ask for clarification on certain things.
Yeah, sure.
So I am not cursed. Don't put your personification of your God.
And your kids too, they're cursed as well.
Bruh, you about to get disconnected if you can't understand that it's touchy-feely because no man defines me. No man defines my life. And no man talks about putting curses on my children.
The Bible does.
I don't give a damn. I don't believe in your Bible. And that is the purpose. And the purpose. And what you have to, you are up here because, well, now you're not up here. You only are coming on here to prove your Jesus. You're not coming on here to preach. You're not coming on here to try to convince people to become part of your religion unless you can do it by proving your God exists first, your Jesus exists first. That's the premise of this live. All your preaching, you take that back to your church. Don't give a damn about your preaching. And when you talk about my kids, you damn right I get touchy about that because they're my children. So you can get on with that bullshit. And I was looking to find where he talking about some mercies and stuff. I remember reading something like that. And I believe it says God requires obedience over sacrifice. And I don't think that Jesus said that, which is why I can't find where it says Jesus said that. But I think Hosea might have said that. And I'm going to go look that up because Hosea 6 is what I'm looking for. So let's see. Yes, it is not Jesus who said that. It is Hosea chapter 6, verse 6, where it says, "For I desire steadfast love and not sacrifice, the knowledge of God rather than burnt offerings." That is something that Hosea said. Now, that is saying that he, let me look at it again, make sure I understood that correctly. Steadfast love, not sacrifice. Knowledge of God rather than burnt offerings. But yet the hypocrisy of that is that he comes back and offers himself as a blood sacrifice. That sounds hypocritical to me. Maybe it's just me, but it sounds hypocritical. You want knowledge of God, which would be who God is and following his commandments. You want steadfast love, which is following his commandments, over offerings of sacrifice, but then God sacrificed his only son. That makes no sense whatsoever. That's absolutely stupid. Okay. Somebody was in the queue, but they fell out the queue. If anybody want to come up on the channel, if you think that if you can prove that Jesus existed, I would love to have a conversation with you, an intelligent conversation, not preaching, because we're not doing any preaching on here. And you damn sure ain't gonna talk about my kids. You can just keep that shit out your mouth. Treat you like Will Smith. Keep my children's name out your mouth. Let's see if there are any comments directed towards me. I see other people having comments with themselves. You just saw the last dude on another panel, and he got kicked too for refusing to be quiet. Yeah. I don't know why. Okay, why do people think that you got some rights on these channels? You come on someone else's show and you think that you got rights, like the Constitution applies to you. The Constitution don't apply to you when you're on these platforms. The only Constitution that applies to you is the Constitution of Rennes. That's it. That's the only Constitution, mine. So when you go on someone else's show, like if I were to go to someone else's, when I've done other people's shows, like when I go on Talk Heathen or the Atheist Experience, they tell me what their rules are before I go on, and I don't disobey their rules while I'm on their show. It's their damn show. So all you good little Christians, stop coming on people's shows thinking that you have some type of authority. You don't. That's why he got kicked. And it's probably moving on to someone else's panel and gonna get kicked from there like he got kicked from the previous panel that someone was telling us about. Bro, they found Pilate, the governor of Judea, wrote about Jesus. And that letter is a forgery. It has been proven to be a forgery. The Pilate letter is a forgery. So Christians, do me a favor. When y'all get these so-called proofs, go research it before you just believe it. Go read the peer reviews on it. Right? The Pilate letter has been demonstrated to be a forgery. It is not a letter that was written by Pontius Pilate. I really need y'all to do your research on this stuff. Because it's supposedly this is a Pilate letter that was, I think it's written to Tiberius. I haven't talked about the Pilate letter in a while. But it's supposed to be a letter to Tiberius talking about this resurrection of Jesus and so on and so forth. But it's a forgery. But of course, you believe in your Jesus so badly that you're going to go ahead and just accept it and believe it. And then when the scholars actually look at it and tell you that it's a forgery because it has errors in it, that it is something that was written in the 4th and 5th century CE, you then don't want to accept that because you want to believe in your Jesus so badly you want to believe in it, right? Like one of the issues with it, because I looked up the letter itself. Pilate is referring to himself as the governor of Palestine and Phoenicia. Palestine, as a name of Judea, did not exist in the time frame of Pilate. It was called Judea. So if Pilate had written this, he would say that he was the governor of Judea, not the governor of Palestine. That's an anachronistic error. So no, these were early Christians in Roman Christians, 4th, 5th century, who wrote this thing in order to manufacture some data to say that, oh, Pilate exists. Pilate wrote this about Jesus. That's confirmation that Jesus existed. And in the 4th and 5th century, there was many things being done like this. The interpolation or forgery into Josephus's writings in his annals of saying that, and then there was a man, if he was a man, that's a forgery added to his writings in the 4th and 5th century. So research these things that y'all are calling proof, because over and over again, you get blasted out showing that you didn't do it, right? Yeah, I don't think Paul didn't exist either. And somebody earlier said, oh, the Shroud of Turin. Shroud of Turin has been shown to be a forgery. When a 3D image covered by a cloth does not come out as if you're looking at the person in 3D. It's going to come out this flattened out. It's easy to the way it was made. It was made with a loom that wasn't invented until around 1100 CE. So the way that it is stitched together shows that it was something that was created much later, around the 1200s. So this, y'all don't research these things. You just want to believe them so badly that you don't even go in and do any research about them. And that's why I walked away from Christianity, is studying and researching and finding information like that. That's why I walked away from it. Right? The shroud was created in order to, so during that time frame, 1200s, 1400s, 1500s, Christian tourism was huge, money makers. And for some of these churches, they made money by saying that, oh, we got the true cross. Oh, we got the Shroud of Turin. Oh, we got the cup that Jesus drank from. We got all these different things. And Christians just ran to them. Oh, I want to go there. Spend my money. Spend my money. I mean, the true cross, supposedly discovered by Helena, Constantine's mother, she finds it 300 years later. 300 years later. Like they never reutilized crosses. If Jesus was such an unknown, lowly dude in the 1st century, no Romans would have saved that cross, especially in an area where wood was not plentiful. They reused crosses over and over again. But she found the true cross and gave it out as gifts to other kings. But Christians are going to go there. They're going to believe it. And Eusebius writes a story about how she tested it because it healed a woman. Come on, Christians. I know y'all are smarter than that. Y'all sound like the first dude I talked to who says that Jesus was a Christ, an example of an archetype of Christ, of the Christ mind, the Christ energy, but yet he doesn't know much about Jesus. Doesn't know much about it. That's like y'all, that's like anyone on here, because yeah, I don't think other than my wife, because I think she's on here, but that's like anyone on here trying to claim that I'm an archetype for something, when all you know of me is what you've seen here. That's it. You don't know shit else about me. You just know whatever I've told you and whatever you've seen. And you haven't seen the over 3,000 videos that I've made, so you don't know me. Trust me, the people who came to San Antonio last year, October, they know me better because they got to spend some time. They got to see a side of me that y'all don't get to see. They got to see a side of me that I didn't want them to see, but they got to see it. That dude approached me wrong, and they got to see that part of me. I would rather they had not. And they didn't get the full part of it because I recognized, man, I got these people here. Let me talk this dude down. Secular Buddhist.
Hello, sir. How are you? I'm 31.
Thank you for answering that question already. And are you, I'm guessing you're a Buddhist? Or am I wrong?
Yes,
Okay.
but I want to know, like, from Christians, why they can't ever seem to answer Mark 14, 51, and 52. What was Jesus doing in that park with that little boy?
They're not going to answer. You know, I've never had a Christian ever answer that question, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. Where was that at? You said it's Mark
14, 51, 52.
And I just want to read it so that people will know what you're talking about. Let me get down to it. All right, so this is the whole betrayal time frame with Judas. With Judah, yeah, Judas. And I'll start with 50 when it says, and all of them deserted and fled. A certain young man was following him, wearing nothing but a linen cloth. They caught hold of him, but he left the linen cloth and ran off naked. So what do you think Jesus was doing with this young man out there with just a linen cloth on that obviously was easy enough for him to run off naked?
I have no idea, to be honest, but I don't think it was anything good. But as somebody explained it to me, I guess in the Greek, what they changed in the language was that that boy specifically was a slave boy. And that the Greek, it's supposed to be Niskoi. Yeah, we can only obviously kind of speculate as to what he was actually doing.
So
'Cause,
let me speculate for a minute. And this speculation is based on how the cultures were back in those days. And there are still some cultures like this today. But in those days, young boys under a certain age were for fun, for sexual fun. And it was agreed upon. This was something like they would be, and usually they were understudies of somebody. So they were like apprentices, and they were sent to be an understudy to someone who was going to teach them their trade or teach them their ways or educate them. And then, but one of their payments to them is through sexual pleasuring. Once they come of a certain age, then they are released, no more sexual pleasures, and then they go off and they start their own families and so on and so forth. It wasn't seen as homosexuality like we would say today. Today, that would be, we would consider that we would call that pedophilia and homosexuality. So it wasn't seen like that. That was a common practice in their time, especially, and this wasn't just the Greeks. This was all over the place. Now, to give you a modern day example of that, when in 1990, in 90 and 91 when our ship pulled up in the Persian Gulf. In one of our briefings, they told us if you see a grown man being affectionate towards a young boy, don't be offended. Don't act out. That's how their culture is. Young boys are for fun until they become a certain age. So in the 90s, that was, I don't know if it's still being practiced, but in the 90s, that was being practiced. So I would say Jesus was practicing that same process back then, because I don't know any other reason why he'd be in the woods with a little naked boy or a half naked boy, unless he was his little student, providing some cheeks for him. So that would be my speculation based on the culture.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to add?
No, I was just kind of curious if you've ever had anybody actually try to answer that that's a Christian.
Nah, they won't.
Yeah.
They probably never heard it, because I doubt if any pastor ever teaches that.
Right.
Because every minister, when I was in church, anytime the Judas part was being preached out of Mark, they would stop right there. They would stop at 50. They wouldn't go into 51 and 52.
Well, I don't know. I didn't grow up in the church, and I rarely went to church as it was. So,
yeah,
I found my Buddhist practice through being a martial arts student.
Being a what student?
Martial arts student.
Oh, martial arts student. Yeah.
So,
okay. Well, I appreciate you coming up.
yeah.
And bring. All right, you have a good one. Yeah, I would be surprised you ever get a Christian that would actually have a discussion about that one. Mark. See if I can. Mark Got Motion. You're live on Deconstructing Christianity with Coach Renz. Mark going once. Mark going twice. Mark Got Motion going 3 times. Mark Got Motion is not there. That's all right. It might have been an accident. It's all right. We got another person who wants to come up, hopefully. Kenny be winning.
What's good, family? What's good, man?
How you doing, Kenny? Are you over? Oh, you're over 21?
Yeah, I'm 55, man.
55. I can't wait to turn 55.
Double nickels, baby.
55.
Yeah.
Are you a believer?
No, I wouldn't say I'm a believer, bro.
Okay.
I guess I was a believer until I started really, like reading the Bible and digging into it and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I never could do what other people can do. Like when I seen evil, right? It didn't matter who was doing the evil. It still was evil. When I seen murder, it didn't matter who was doing it. I know it was wrong. Rape, kidnap, all those things I could never make right because it was coming from quote unquote the God. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like when he do those things, they make excuses for why that's good or why we deserved it. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
I could never do that. So, since I couldn't do that, I was an awful Christian, right? So now I'm just a dude that don't believe none of that stuff, man.
No, I understand. I mean, that was why I walked away from it, doing all my research on it and seeing exactly what it says. That made me walk away from it. And
but I can't give excuses like they do, man. I don't have them in me.
yeah, no. If I did something wrong to someone, this was one of the issues that I had when I was in the church. If you do something wrong to somebody, you're supposed to repent. And repentance is not just asking for forgiveness. You're supposed to take care of that person in whatever you did. Like this one, I wrecked this man's car, right? And even though it was a hardship on me, I rented him a car until they fixed his car because his insurance wouldn't give him a rental car.
Right.
So I rented him a car because that's repentance. I'm gonna give you what I took from you. I'm gonna give back to you until you are back to being stable. Because that was my fault.
You made sure that he didn't take a loss in no kind of way
Exactly.
because of your errors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that makes you're not a Christian either, so they don't do that either.
No.
You know, the great point I was getting ready to make with you, but it totally jumped out of my mind, man, because you was making a lot of sense, so I start keying into, you know.
Don't you hate when that happens? Don't you just hate when that happens?
Point I wanted to bring up, but I said double nickels got me.
Don't say that, man, because I'm gonna hit them double nickels in a few months. I've been waiting for it. I've been waiting since I was about 10 years old to turn 55.
Oh my God.
Because that's how that man said it when I was 10. He said I'm 55. And I've been waiting to say that.
Just stayed like 45. I'll be straight.
You know what? Just keep holding on, bro. I was doing some research last night on medical advances that we've already made and where we should be in the next 30 years. And by the time we get to 2050, they should be able to, like, if you have a failing organ, you should be able to print your own organ, make you a new one based on your body, and should be able to reverse the markers of cells so that they are reset to when you're 40. Your cells are reset to when they're 40. So your immune system and your ability to build muscle and things like that should recover.
I mean,
so you should.
That sound all great, man. But
Yeah.
do you think for 1 minute, I didn't mean to cut you off. You think for 1 minute we gonna have access to that kind of technology, like me or you?
Hell
Or is that
yeah.
gonna be for the, the Epsteins.
Yes, because it'll probably come out in like the 2030s, 2040s, and then it'll be available around the 2050s for everybody.
I got you. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, we're gonna get it later, but we're gonna get it. But that's one reason why it's things like that that motivate me to start another business, so that I am in the financial position to be able to get it as soon as it's available. Because they are doing some human trials on it right now. So that's why I put it out to 2050, because human trials on it is already started.
It don't reset your brain, right? You still get to keep your 55-year-old brain, right?
Yeah, no, it doesn't affect. No, it doesn't do that. No, it doesn't do that. No.
Yeah. And I was having this debate with this African gentleman, right?
Uh-huh.
And he was saying that the Bible was flawless and it all correlates and it makes so much sense. So I asked him, I said, is the God of that Bible, do he make mistakes? Never. He can't. It's impossible for him to make a mistake. I said, wow, I think I can find a mistake before Genesis 2. I know I can find a mistake. And he said, yeah, let me see. I said, well, when God created everybody, all those things, the animals and all that, right? He looked at it.
You blinked off, Kevin. Can't hear nothing. You say he made all the animals. He looked at it, and that's the last thing we heard. Oh, okay.
He looked at anything and said everything is good, right?
Right.
And then a few words down the line, he was noticing how Adam was moving, and Adam was unhappy. So Adam needed a mate. So he realized that wasn't good, that Adam was there without a mate. So right away, there's a contradiction in how he's thinking. First, he's thinking everything good, then he looks around, oh, Adam's sad, that's not good. So there's one, that's even before Adam and Eve.
Well, that is Adam and Eve. So that's a contradiction within Genesis 1 compared to Genesis 2. So Genesis 2 is where he's looked around and said, well, Adam is not good for man to be alone. But in Genesis 1, when he said he created man and woman, told him be fruitful and multiply and have dominion, he saw that it was good. So that would be a contradiction. And the reason why that contradiction exists is because Genesis 1 through Genesis 2, halfway through verse 4, is one creation story. And then halfway in verse 4 to the Genesis 4 is a whole nother creation story.
Okay, I got something for you to fact check me on. And I'm going to come back to your live and you tell me if I was right or wrong. Genesis 2 was actually written before Genesis 1.
No, you're right. Genesis 2 was written first.
Okay.
Yeah. Is the it goes through the theory of the Yahwist and the Elohist and the priest clan and the Yahwist clan, where you have two different writers from two different groups who are writing these stories. And the Genesis 2 story is written by the Judeans, which that one was written before the Yahwist wrote Genesis 1.
So these people possibly never even knew each other. Like one wouldn't have known what Adam or Eve was, right?
Well, they could have known since they bordered each other, because this was an Israelites versus the Southern Israelites. They could have known, but they saw the story differently, and they just like, well, that's the story they're telling under their king. This is the story we're telling under our king.
Got you.
But they still would have thought that they were doing the right thing in their worship of Yahweh, but just different variations of their worship of Yahweh.
Right. And Yahweh, he was originally not even like a higher God, right? He was somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, he was a lower Canaanite god.
Right. Ooh, so the highest one was who?
Yeah.
Elion?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay, so this guy was teaching me that, man. So I'm proud that he was right about that stuff. I told him I was gonna fact check him.
Yeah, fact check me too.
Hey man, you got to.
Yeah.
You know, that's the fun of it right there.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't mind
did you
being
actually
wrong.
learn something, or did you actually learn some bullshit? You know, that's what I like.
Yeah, I learned.
People teach you some bull crap, man.
I generally learn something every day that I do a live. I learn something.
Yeah.
Or if I don't learn something, I remember something.
I'm gonna remember what y'all was just talking about. I never knew nothing about the little boy in the woods butt naked. You know, I ain't know nothing about that.
Because they not teaching that. You're not gonna teach that Jesus out there.
What was the whole premise of that?
Well, like I was saying, it's just it's a cultural thing from back then. That's how you know how you always seen them medieval movies, and somebody sends their son off to be an apprentice to a blacksmith or to somebody like that.
Right.
But they just work for him. Well, back in those days, not only did they work for him when they get sent off to be an apprentice, or they also provided sexual favors. Now, this also can be a slave back then. So you can have a young slave that you use as a sexual tool until they come of age, and then you don't use them as a sexual tool anymore.
That's wild right there, bro. And God is okay with that. You know, somewhere in the book, the God is okay with that.
I mean, right there in the book, he's okay with it. They didn't have a problem with the little dude that being out there with Jesus. You know, and if it wasn't a cultural thing, see, like if Mark had the foresight to know that 2,000 years later, that will be seen as horrific, he wouldn't have wrote it. But it was common in the era that Mark was written, so it wasn't a big deal.
Okay. All right. I like to bounce stuff off you, man, because you got a great perspective. I don't mean to jump around, but I want to bounce something else off.
What's that?
All right. So the story of, oh my God, what is that dude's name? All right, I'm gonna tell you the stories. It's two stories is almost exactly alike. One had a concubine.
Yeah.
One had two daughters. You know what I'm talking about?
So Genesis 19 and Judges 19.
Okay.
So Genesis 19 is a story of Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yes.
And so where Lot offers his daughters to the crowd, but the angelic beings are like, nah, don't worry about that. And they blind the men. And then Lot and his daughters escape. And his wife, they all escape, except his wife turned to a pillar of salt.
Oh, see, now I didn't know that part. I thought he sent the daughters out there.
No, see, Judges 19 is a retelling of this story. This man's concubine, she don't like the way he's treating her, so she run away to her daddy. He go to get her from her daddy. Her dad tries to convince the man to stay there, and he does for a couple of days. But when they leave, they had to stop in this town, this Benjaminite town. And those men were like, you ain't come in this town and treat and respect us, so we want to bang this Israelite dude.
Yeah,
So
man.
well, and the banging was for humiliation. It wasn't for sexual immoralities or for homosexuality. It was because you were disrespectful. So we want to butt break you. We force you to submit to us. The man then sends out his concubines, and then they rape the concubine till she dies. And then the man chops her body up and sends it out to the 12 tribes, and they come and they almost genocide this Benjamin tribe. And then after that, they realize, oh, there's 400 of them left. So let's go and steal some women from some other Israelites and force them to be the wives of these men.
Yeah. Wait, they was at a party or something, and they said wait till after the festival.
Yeah.
And go grab them up.
Yeah, the last group, like first they conquered another town and took their women, but they were still shy like 200 women or something like that.
Yeah.
And so they found these women dancing, and then they took these women dancing and forced them to be their wives. And then they told the other guys who was mad about that, don't worry about it, because we can't let this tribe of Benjamin die.
So where's them girls' free will? You know they wasn't taking 20-year-olds. You know nasty motherfuckers was taking 12 and 13-year-olds. You know that.
Oh yeah, because they were looking for women who hadn't known a man. That's why, like, they did the same thing to the Moabites and the Ammonites, where they killed all the men and women who have known a man, and then they kept the young girls who didn't know, who hadn't had sex. And these were, of course, young girls.
How do you justify this being all right with a loving God? Like a loving God, this wouldn't be okay with that loving God. Like none of this would be fine with a loving God. This would all be against him in spirit.
Well, you know, God works in mysterious ways.
Oh my God, so mysterious.
And God is God, so God can do whatever he want to do. We just his creation. He can do whatever he want with the creation. You know, that's the ultimate bullshit.
This guy asked me, if you created something, couldn't you do what you want with it? I said, well, if I was powerful enough to create a life and abuse it, because I created all my kids.
Right. I mean, we got that's why, like, so I run my shows now in three or four different subject matters. So like tomorrow's subject matter is about morals. We have we have better morals than the God of the Bible. We protect children better than the God of the Bible.
Absolutely. I've said that, and I've had Africans call me all kind of evil and wish curses on me and shit. Like all kind of Christian love. You know, when they ain't no love like Christian love, boy. When they start getting angry, good Lord, they say some wild stuff.
Ain't no hate like Christian love.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go. Ain't no hate like Christian love. Yeah. Last thing, man. One more thing.
All right, one more thing. Yeah, because I want to find some Christians.
Yeah, you're gonna find some Christians after this. Last one. All right, so I told you I'd be picking up little verses in the Bible, and I'll try to inspect the gadget and put one and one together. So I came across where Jesus and the devil was in the woods somewhere, and he was offering Jesus all this shit, and Jesus said, nah, man, like pretty much if I was supposed to have it, God would have gave it to me, right? So I'm gonna stop right there. Now I'm gonna go to where Jesus, when he passed away, and he took his journey through hell, right? When he came back, didn't he have those same authorities that the devil was offering him in the woods?
Yes.
Or am I just putting some shit together?
I mean,
No, for real. He came out of that 3-day thing, hiatus, chilling with the devil with those same ass authorities that was offered to him in the woods that he refused. So, come on, man.
I mean, it's a clusterfuck of ideas. They will say that, there's a part that says that the devil is basically the devil is the prince of this world, right? That he controls this world. But Jesus went down. Now he went down into the old Jewish type of hell, according to Peter, 1 Peter, which is he went to preach to the prisoners, which they're inferring that means Abaddon. Like he already brought the people out of Abraham's bosom, and now he's bringing them out of Abaddon, which is like their Greek version of Sheol, because now Sheol has changed from the Old Testament, from just a place everybody goes, that's a dark, gloomy place, to now a place that has Abraham's bosom and a Abaddon, which is kind of like Elysium in Greek and Tartarus in Greek.
Right.
And so he went and preached to those prisoners, and then he got the keys, which gave him power over the whole world. So it's kind of like he took the power, but yet Christians still will say the devil has powers over all this world.
Not no more. Not when Jesus came back.
Well,
Jesus declared he had all authorities.
he,
At that point, they always said all him.
yeah, but if something bad happened to a Christian, they'll say because they fight against these powers and principalities, and the devil is the prince of this world.
Man, listen, man, I'm gonna jump down, bro.
They confused.
If I stay up here, I'm gonna keep bouncing shit off your head. I got a million of them.
Nah,
So I'm gonna jump down so you can get you a Christian up here and you can teach him.
yeah, because I only got about an hour and 5 minutes.
All right, my man.
All right.
Thanks for having me up, man. I'm gonna follow you and look for your lives.
All right, appreciate you, Kenny.
All right, man.
Before I bring on the next person, I want to thank everybody who supports the channel through gifts, through subscriptions, through memberships, and those who share it, those who do super chats. I appreciate everybody who's on there. We got D, and then IG, and then Guess Who, and then Barnacles, if they're still there. All right. Well, D is not there, so it's comedy hour time with IG.
What's ahead and probably a little bit
You're muffled.
here and down at the plantation.
You're in a tunnel.
Can you hear me?
In a tunnel.
Oh no. Okay. Hold on. What about now?
In a tunnel.
Oh, hold on.
What you gonna say?
Hold on. Oh. All right. What about now?
It is about
Can
the
you hear
same.
me?
Go ahead. Go ahead. You muffled.
Oh,
You in a
no,
tunnel.
hold on. It's still in the.
Your phone sucks today.
What about now?
Your phone sucks.
Hold on, let somebody else go. I'm gonna get my other earpiece off the
All
charger.
right. Okay.
Okay.
IG in a tunnel. Let's see if these other. We got Guess Who, Barnacles, then Vincent, then Gary. Let's see if everybody there. Nope. Guess Who's not there. Barnacle. Not there. Wait a minute. Somebody's coming up. Barnacle is coming up. Barnacles. Barnacles.
Yeah.
Are you over 21?
Yes.
All right. Are you a believer?
Of what?
Are you a believer of any God?
Yes.
What God?
The one true God.
Based on what?
Based on what?
Yeah, I mean,
Nothing.
Muslims believe that they worship the one true God.
Okay.
So what's your one true God based on?
All of the gods.
So you just a deist.
Yeah.
A deist. You just believe all the gods exist
True. Yeah. I believe in divinity.
of all the gods.
Yeah.
So you believe Jesus is God?
Yes.
Okay. And so what's your proof that Jesus existed?
My proof that he existed.
Yeah.
That he existed at all. I mean, for the fact that we're like talking about him, that he exists. That he exists in your mind right now. That we've been speaking of his name. So even if he never was born, he exists in the mind. So that's my philosophy of the mind and how the world works. If like,
So any God that anybody believes in exists.
yes, that's how powerful I believe the mind is. It exists in some type of reality, some type of realm.
So did you get this from American Gods?
American gods, like the natives? Or
No, like the TV show. That's the premise of Neil Gaiman's American Gods, that gods exist based on people's belief in that God. And that's how strong they are based on the belief in that God.
Yeah, that's the type of idea I'm going off. Like the mind is powerful. You can believe anything
A lot
Well,
of people believe
that's not that's not empirical data. So that's nothing to discuss. That's nothing to discuss.
empirical data
I
and
mean-
science, that's all irrelevant. People think that they understand everything when they talk about science.
If
but
you
science
can,
is
if
just
every God
observation.
if every God exists just because somebody believes in it, then I mean, I can't. We can't debate the belief. That's then the spaghetti monster on Saturn exists in, right?
Yeah, that could be real. Very much so.
Okay. So,
Don't cut me off. Just listen to me.
sir, you're not the host.
I'm you.
You're not the host. You cannot tell me what to do. And don't try.
I'm not tell you what to do. I want you to be free.
I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be real free. You know how much freedom I'm about to have?
As soon as you figure it out.
I'm gonna have freedom of not having a dumbass conversation. And that's why he's gone. I'm free of dumbass philosophical conversation that anybody can exist as long as you believe in it. Tampa Detailers.
Hey, this is my business page, so I just didn't change it to my name. My name's Chris.
How you doing, Chris? You detail cars?
All right. Maybe. It's a lot of work, so I don't know if I'm gonna keep doing it. But
Well, right. If you live in Tampa or the St. Pete area, you need your car cleaned to expert
Yes.
levels. Go to Tampa Detailers.
I appreciate that.
All right.
That's fun.
Are you over 21?
I am over 21.
All right. Are you a believer?
I am.
Okay. And what is your proof that who do you believe in? And be clear.
The God of the Bible.
Okay. And what is your proof that Jesus existed?
My proof. I see one of the things that you say is no eyewitnesses.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the questions that I have is Christianity at the time of its conception was the fastest growing religion. What would you say would be the cause? Because I'm sure you've heard of our arguments is that the people saw Jesus die, resurrect, and they were so moved by what they saw from Jesus that they went around the world and they told everybody. I'm sure you've heard that argument from Christians.
Yeah, I've heard.
And,
And
and so
there's no
disagree
empirical.
with that.
I do, because there's no data that demonstrate that Christianity was the fastest growing religion during the first century or the second century. It wasn't the fastest growing religion. There's no data that shows that it was. That's just a common thing that Christians like to say to validate their religion. And
Okay, so well, it obviously spread, right? I mean, we know that.
it's yeah. I mean, it spread.
It wasn't the fastest. Let's say, who cares how fast it was, but it did spread, and it spread pretty much around the world.
Yeah, through colonialism and barbarism.
What would be the cause of the spread of Christianity?
Colonization and warfare.
Colonization, but before colonization, before the Europeans sort of took over the world, because Christianity spread way before that.
I mean, before that, it spread. It's pretty much spread through evangelism.
Yes. So why go spread this thing? Like, what would be the purpose?
If you believe it, then you would go. Then you go spread it, just like the worship of Apollonius of Tyana spread during that time frame. And mind you, there were many variations of Christianity that was spreading at that time frame.
So one of the things that I think is interesting about Christianity and how the teachings are different. Like one of the main teachings about Christianity is denying yourself and picking up your cross daily. So most other religions is about like sort of how you can like improve your life, become a better person.
Mm-hmm.
Christianity, the core concept is like no longer living for yourself and living for Jesus.
And that same thing. That same thing.
No, it's not. It's not about self-improvement so you can make a better life for yourself. It's about, the term is like dying to yourself. So it's not about necessarily having a good life, having a a rich life or any of that, or
Islam is
like,
Islam is the same way. Buddhism is the same way.
No,
Hinduism is the
Islam
same
is-
way.
Islam and Buddhism are actually not the same way.
Yes, they are.
Islam, a lot of the teaching of Islam is about how you can improve yourself.
Improve. Yeah, submit. If you submit to Allah, then you have to be able to submit yourself, submit everything to Allah. You're dying of self to Allah so that you can get heaven.
The concept of dying yourself is not really a main teaching of Islam. And Buddhism is more about finding, like, I don't know it too well, but it's more about finding like an internal peace or something like that. Am I right about that?
By dying to yourself.
No, that's not a term in Buddhism.
It's a philosophy in Buddhism, in the eightfold path. You say you don't know much about Buddhism, but in the eightfold path of Buddhism, you have to die of self. You have to get rid of wants, get rid of greed. You have to release earthly attachments. You have to die of self in order to reach nirvana.
That's it. Okay, fair enough. But there's a flip side to that's half of the equation for Christianity. The second half is like carrying your cross, dying to yourself and carrying your cross. That Buddhism misses is.
How does it miss it?
No, I'm explaining the second half of it. The second half is also doing the things that you don't want to do, that you know you should, like talking to people about Jesus, even like being willing to die for what you believe in. What else?
You don't think that people have died for their belief in the other religions?
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying this is the second half of it. So this is the second half of denying yourself, and people die for every religion. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the totality of Christianity, the different thing, what separates it from other religions is the fact that the people are not living for this life. They're living to get to heaven. So this life doesn't mean anything to a true Christian. This life doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is getting to heaven. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's the same thing in Islam. That's the same thing in Buddhism. Same thing in Hinduism.
No. So
it's the same thing
all
to get to heaven.
All of those religions are generally trying to make you happy here.
No, I don't think you've ever studied those religions. Have you ever studied those religions?
I've studied them enough to know that they're focused on this life here. Does that make sense?
But the focus on this life here is to be like, let's say Islam, right? The focus on this life here is to be in total submission to Allah, to not engage in sexual immorality, to not drink and poison your body, to not do all these things that you may want to do. So reject all the things you want to do so that you can be in total submission to Allah, so that you can go to heaven.
What about sharing your faith? Is that something that is taught in Islam?
Yeah, in Islam, you are to demonstrate your faith and then help other people to come to Islam.
How? I generally don't know how.
By teaching them, by living, by the way you live your life, and by teaching them the Quran.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I guess my general point is that what would cause somebody in the 1st century BC to go out, and do you agree that Christians were persecuted in the 1st century BC before I even make my statement?
A little bit.
A little bit, like having your family be threatened, or like your wife be threatened, and like, hey, we're gonna kill your wife unless you denounce Jesus. Is that a little bit?
That's a little bit, because, and when I say a little bit, I don't mean by the pressure that was exhibited. I mean by like the quantity, because Jews were in the 1st century, Jewish people were victimized more than Christians. The Romans had a bigger boner for Jews than they did for Christians in the 1st century.
Well, in the first, are you talking about before 3 BC or after?
Well, you said first century, so that would be 0 to 100 CE.
Okay. Well, I don't know the persecution of the Jews. But Judaism did not spread as much as Christianity around that time, correct?
No, because Judaism is more of a, you have to be born, it's kind of more born into it. Now you can adopt the religion, but
You can become a proselyte.
right, you can adopt it, but in first century and second century, Jews were Romans emphasized persecution of Jews more so than they emphasized the persecution of Christians. And oftentimes Jews, they couldn't tell the difference between a Jew and a Christian.
That's true. The Romans didn't really care too much.
Mm-hmm.
But Christians were also persecuted by Jews as well. Correct?
Only in places where Jews had certain levels of authority, but other than that, not so much. Because like one of the reasons why Emperor Claudius, he kicked out all the Jews and he didn't differentiate between Jews and Christians, is because the Jewish Christians and the Jews were actually fighting each other, like physically fighting each other. So the Jews didn't have authority in Rome to persecute Christians, but they would get into arguments so bad that it would start big old street gang fights.
Yeah, it would start riots. After someone would go and preach.
So the Jews and Christians were fighting each other, and then Claudius was just like, "Oh, y'all get the hell out."
So, but you're not denying that the persecution did exist. You're trying to minimize it, but you're not denying that it existed.
No, I'm not denying it existed, but it's not as big as Christians like to make it.
Okay, so let me ask you this question: If you and me and you are in the first century BC,
Mm-hmm.
and we have this religion, let's say you are a Christian,
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason, and this is like around, what do you think, like 40 BC, a couple years after they claimed that Jesus left. Now, because you lived in Jerusalem, you know that this is not true. By your claim, there's no eyewitnesses. Why go out and like sell this religion? I want to know what the motivation for something like that is.
Well, it's most likely that around 40 CE that they were believing in a guy named Crestius, not Jesus. And that had been around for 100 years prior. But simply because you believe it, like let's say I give you Jesus existed and I hear of this story. Well, if I believe the story, then I'm going to go and teach the story.
No, that's not my question. My question is that you lived in Jerusalem at the time, and you would have known, you would have been around. You would have been around when Jesus was around. You would have seen the miracles. And let's say you're not just a Christian. Let's say you're one of the leaders of the church.
Well, if I saw it, then I would believe it. But that's the problem.
Okay, so I'm saying that Jesus didn't exist. I'm giving you a scenario where Jesus didn't exist.
Well, if he didn't exist, then I would not have seen it.
Exactly. So why start a religion at that time? What's the purpose behind that?
People start religions for multiple purposes. Like Joseph Smith started the Mormons because he was being persecuted by the United States government.
Okay, so there's a purpose behind it, is what I'm trying to get at. People do start religions for multiple reasons. So, but why do the Christians? What's the purpose?
We can't speculate intent for people in 40 CE, because the one thing, we don't have any evidence of any Christians in 40 CE. So I understand what you're trying to get at, but it's hard to get there when there's nothing that says that there's nothing that shows that there were actually Christians in 40 CE in Jerusalem.
Okay, so one of the things about in a courtroom, what is one of the major categories they go after when deciding if somebody's guilty or not?
Tangible evidence.
What else?
Oh, I know what you're getting at.
Yeah,
So
you know where I'm going.
yes, so you have to have corroborating eyewitness accounts.
No. That's not even where I'm going.
Okay.
That's the second one.
Then
That is the second one.
where?
There's one more.
Okay, then I'm lost. Then go ahead.
Motive. Motive is a big one. They look for motive all the time.
Okay,
What's the motive? So there's a lot of
that goes back to intent. We don't
yeah,
know.
that's what I'm trying to get to. If there's no motive, this thing does not happen. So
There are
you have to establish you have this claim that there's this religion that has no evidence, and they make these wild. These are wild claims. A man came down from God.
that's
Are they not-
let me
are these wild-
let me
are they
clarify.
not-
I got to clarify that
okay.
these are not wild claims. The Mediterranean people of that day had multiple claims of men being born by a god and a woman, men performing miracles, men having disciples, and men dying and rising again. That was a common belief of multiple religions at that time frame. And so, no, it's not a wild belief.
Here's the thing. There's during that time, you have a story. Most of these stories that you're talking about do not get pushed to such an extent that Christianity got pushed. Correct?
Yeah, they do.
Like what?
Like the religion of the imperial religion got pushed.
Say the Roman gods, the Greek gods.
Well, that's the imperial religion that got pushed. There's another name that's just falling out of my head. Not Dionysus. Well, Dionysus did get pushed, but Mithra, the religion of Mithra, got a heavy push during those time frames.
And what happened to them over time?
Oh, over time they died out, just like every religion dies out over time.
Yeah.
Okay, so over time, every religion dies out, but in the midst of their glory, religions are seen as they're never going to die out. See, I think there's one part that you're missing.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know who David Koresh was?
I don't.
Jim Jones?
Nope.
Okay. Joseph Smith.
Heard of Joseph Smith, yes.
All right. Joseph Smith took a already established religion, told a variation of the story, and created a new religion, right?
Correct.
So in 1 BCE, you had a religion based on a dude named Crestius. You also had a religion based on a dude named Apollonius of Tyana. If you take the Jesus story, you can look at how the Jesus story has similarities to the religion of Crestius, which was mainly up in Turkey, which is right up the street from Jerusalem, and had people who believed in it in Judea.
Okay.
So as the same who is Apollonius, who was out of Turkey, and he had followers in Judea. So in the same way, Joseph Smith took a already known story and added his own spin to it. Later Christians around the end of the 1st century to the beginning of the 2nd century took similar story. They put their own spin on those guys' stories and made their story of Jesus. So when you talk about motive, there is no real motive in the sense that we're talking about in a courtroom, but the motive is I'm taking something people already believe, add a twist to it, and now I got a brand new religion, which we can look at all the denominations of Christianity and we see the same thing.
Okay. So here's my issue with that. Let's say, what year would you say that this happened? You said the end of the 1st century, beginning of 2nd century.
Yep.
Can you give me like just a random year, maybe 106, 107, something around that time?
Some people are going to put it around 70. Other people are going to put it around 144.
Okay. So let's go between 70 and 144. And you have this religion based on this guy, you say Crestius?
Crestius.
Okay. How far spread out is this religion at this point? Is it in all 3 continents?
No, it's
Europe?
no, it's all over the Roman Empire.
Which is all 3 continents technically.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Asia,
Yeah.
Europe, and Africa.
Yeah.
So they don't have social media. They have no TV. They have no. I think you know where I'm about to go with this.
Go ahead.
I think you know. They have no way of like fast form of communication. You have a pocket of Christianity in Africa, have a pocket of Christianity in Europe, whatever city it is, and a pocket of Christianity in Asia. Would they not make different variations, and then you have somebody traveling from Europe to Africa or Europe to Asia and say, hey, like you guys made the variations you guys made are like, what's going on with it? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and a lot of those people fought about that very fact. This is why the Council of Nicaea happened, is because people were fighting over the variations of the stories.
So what I'm saying is those little variations that happen, there's something written down to be able to tell what the variations were. Correct?
And some, yeah, there will be some writings. Some people will have scrolls, and then people will introduce new scrolls. So so they didn't have our internet, but what they had that was equivalent to our internet at that time frame was Roman roads, right? The Roman roads allow for information to travel faster than it ever traveled in Mediterranean history or human history, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And they had horses, which allow information to travel faster than it had in previous time frames.
Yeah.
So although it wasn't instantaneous like we have today, instead of it taking 6 months for a story to get to another town that's 200 miles away, it could get to that town in 3 days. 3-4 days, you can get information to a whole new town. They had scrolls, they had writing systems, so they could pass that information on. So this story of Crestius was spreading all over the Roman Empire. It wasn't in little pockets. It was all over the Roman Empire, which is why.
So this guy, I'm interested in hearing about this guy, Crestius. I haven't asked about him.
So when you read so Christians like to attribute Tacitus as a historian who wrote about Christians. Tacitus wasn't writing about Christians. Tacitus was writing about Crestius. 4th, 5th century Christians rewrote Tacitus' writings to make it say Christians, right? But Tacitus was talking about Crestius, who was a 1st century BCE Messiah type out of Turkey. That story was spread all over the Roman Empire. So people knew about it. And this is why he says Nero blamed the Christians.
Wait. But what time did he live again?
Tacitus was in the
Crestius. Yeah.
Well, we see the first mentionings of Crestius in 1 BCE.
1 BC. Okay.
We have the 1st century BCE.
Okay.
So
I just wanted to get that.
Yeah, so this is like 100 years before Jesus. So we see so that's the oldest that we see of Crestius. And the Crestius story was well traveled throughout Europe, Asia, North Africa, to be specific, Asia Minor and North Africa. I don't like saying Asia because that includes the whole thing of Asia, or Africa, that includes the whole thing of Africa. No, it doesn't. It was North Africa and Asia Minor. So the story of Crestius was very well known throughout the Roman Empire. It was still a small sect in comparison to the other religions, but this is the sect that Nero decides that he's going to blame for the fires of Rome in 64. Right?
This is a sect of Crestius.
Crestius, yes. It's Crestius, not Christius. Crestius.
Okay. I think one of the things that's not making sense to me is you say he lived 100 or so years before the Christians claim Jesus was born.
Yeah, the first mentionings of Crestius are 100 years before Jesus was born.
So the mentioning of him, so the writing, so he could have lived before then.
Yeah, he could have lived in 200 BCE.
Okay.
We just have the first writings of about Crestius in 100 BCE. Tacitus and Suetonius brings up Crestius. Is it Suetonius? Brings up Crestius in their writings in 100 and 112, 114 CE. And they're talking about how Nero blamed the Christians for the destruction of the temple. And because the Christian belief had a drink my blood and eat my body, it was something that was part of the Christian story when Christianity develops.
This is now was Christians a Jew?
I don't think so. Because he comes out of Turkey. So most likely not so much. He may not have been a Jew. I'm not 100% sure on that one. Because Jewish people weren't just in Jerusalem.
No. So one of the things you're going to have to contend with is that the first Christians were all Jews. And the first Christians were all Jewish people.
That's according to the Bible. Yeah.
Sure.
But here's the thing. So Philo.
You don't have any evidence. You don't have any evidence against that, though.
That the first ones were Jews?
Yeah.
Now there's no evidence for it nor against it.
Okay. Well, I have the Bible that says that the first Christians were Jews.
I mean, that's the only place that talks about that. Yeah, the Bible would be the first place to say that Christians were Jews, but it doesn't speak about Christians.
So what am I saying? My thing is like, okay, if the first Christians were Jews, all I have is the Bible, but you don't have anything else to say otherwise. If the first Christians were Jews, there are so many prophecies in the Old Testament about this coming, and this coming of this Savior has to be a Jew.
Yeah, and Jesus
they would not have accepted anybody outside of Judaism. And also these people believed it so much because they were in captivity. First were the Romans, all the way back to the Babylonians, the Syrians. The Jews were in captivity for a long time. And they're waiting on this Messiah. This is what they believe.
Yeah. And
they're waiting on this Messiah. Now, there's actually a prophecy in the Old Testament that says there will be 4 kingdoms that come. In the 4th kingdom, your Messiah will come. The Roman Empire happens to be the 4th kingdom. So this is what the Jews believe at this time. And there's no way that the Jews would accept anybody outside of Judaism to be their savior, nor would they make up somebody.
Actually, that would be incorrect. So the first thing is Jesus never fulfilled any of the Messiah prophecies. Hold on, I didn't interrupt you, right? He didn't fulfill any of the prophecies. The second thing is that the Jewish people were under captivity. The Romans wouldn't be the 4th kingdom that they were under captivity, because first they was under captivity by the Egyptians, then they was under captivity by the Assyrians.
Really quick.
Go ahead.
This prophecy came after the Egyptians.
Okay, so after the Egyptians, you got the Assyrians, then you got the Babylonians, then you got the Persians, then you got the Greeks. And so you're putting it that the Romans, the 5th one, is the one that Jesus would have came.
Can you repeat that for me?
Assyrians, Babylonians, Persians, Greek.
So also that prophecy comes after the Assyrians. It comes during the Babylonian Empire with Nebuchadnezzar.
So who are the 4? So it says it's supposed to come after the 4th?
No, that prophecy is during the Babylonian Empire.
So the prophecy is during the Babylonian Empire. So you got so you're counting the Babylonians?
Babylon, yeah, it's not the Assyrians. The Assyrians come before the prophecy.
What's the prophecy in Daniel?
Daniel chapter 7. Let's see. Hold on, I don't have my Bible. I believe it's in Daniel. This might blow your mind. This might be something you never heard before. I don't know, but probably not. Who knows?
I don't know. I've forgotten more than I know. Paper turns.
Daniel chapter 2. Daniel chapter 2. No. Yes, Daniel chapter 2. You can start in verse 31. It's a long one. If you want to cut it short, you can start in 39 or start in 36. Start in 36 through 43.
Oh, that is a lot. That was a dream. Now we will tell the king. Wait a minute, hold on. Reading glasses. That was a dream. Now we will tell the king its interpretation. O you king of kings, to whom God of heaven has given you the kingdom of power and might and glory, to whose hand he has given the human beings wherever they live, and wild animals of the field and the birds of the air, and whom he has established as ruler over them all. You are the head of gold. Babylonians.
Okay, yes.
After you shall rise another kingdom inferior to yours, yet a third kingdom of bronze, I remember this, which shall rule over the earth. You're saying that's the Persians.
Correct.
And there shall be a fourth kingdom, strong as iron, just as iron crushes and smashes everything.
Macedonians or the Greeks? Same thing.
Greeks, right.
Alexander the Great.
It shall be crushed and shattered, all of these. As you saw the feet and the toes partly of pottery and clay and partly of iron, it shall be divided into kingdoms, but some of the strength of the iron shall be in it, and you saw the iron mixed with clay.
Now this is
that would be the Romans.
So, yes, that would be the Romans. And then in verse 44, it says, in the time of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed, nor will be left to another people. It will crush all those kingdoms and bring them to an end, but it itself will endure forever. This is the meaning of the vision of the rock cut out of a mountain, but not by human hands, a rock that broke the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold to pieces. So the Jews read this and they say that their kingdom is going to come during the Roman times. Now, what's interesting is that the Jews see it as they're going to have a military takeover of the Romans.
Yep.
Or their new kingdom is going to.
Yep.
So they actually interpret this scripture wrong. There's some other Old Testament prophecy that talks about this kingdom will be a kingdom that's a spiritual kingdom. This kingdom is not going to be the kingdom like you had in David's time.
Okay, so
but that's neither here nor there. The kingdom's going to be set up during the Roman times. Do you see that?
Oh, I see that. That's what they prophesied, which is why I will say that Daniel is a false prophet, because exactly the Jews read it as a kingdom coming that will set them free, because all of the prophecies, whether we're talking about Ezekiel, Jeremiah, all these other prophets, always established Israel as an independent nation. Jesus never set, and so all their prophecies are Israel being set up as an independent nation, never to be conquered again.
That's how they see it.
Yes. And it is Christian rereading into the text and making it philosophical and spiritual that Christians go back and say, oh, no, y'all didn't understand it. No, they understood it, because their God, according to their belief, has been saying the same thing over and over again, that I'm going to free my children of Israel. Y'all are going to suffer through all this bullshit, but I'm going to establish y'all, and y'all will be in perpetual God kingdom, which is why they rejected Jesus' story, which is also why and people believe this to the degree that this is why first century, there was every year at Passover, somebody claiming to be the Messiah.
Okay, so, but your point was that Jesus never fulfilled any Old Testament prophecy.
And he did not establish Israel as an independent nation.
Well, you don't believe in Jesus, but the Old Testament is filled with the history of the Old Testament. This is the story of the Old Testament. Let's take it from Abraham. God makes Abraham a promise. Your people are going to be this huge group of people. You're going to have so many descendants. You have your own nation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a nation they never had.
Now the story, I don't know if you believe in the story or not of the Old Testament and some of the people, if they existed, but this is the story. That's fine. You don't have to believe it. I'm just giving you the story. The general story is, under David's reign, they do establish a very strong kingdom. This is the story, okay? Whether you believe it or not.
Well, there's no proof that David's kingdom was ever actually established.
But this is what the Jews believe, correct?
Yeah, they believe it.
Okay, so I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying this is the story of, just so you can get a better understanding of where Christianity comes from.
No, okay. So, because I don't want to go into this long ass diatribe. I understand where Christians are coming from. I used to be a Christian, a very devout Christian. I used to be a deacon of the church in Christianity. I know the story. I know what people believe, and I know I used to believe it.
Okay. So you understand that in Israel, like, you guys have been in sin, you won't change. I'm gonna set up a new kingdom, a spiritual kingdom.
No,
This is what the Christians believe.
that's what the Christian believe, and that doesn't matter. We're not talking about beliefs.
I'm saying you understand that. You understand.
I understand that. So show me the facts.
So why do I spread this thing I believe if I know it's a lie?
Because you don't know it's a lie.
A Christian would never make up, or a Jew, I'm sorry, would never make up a story about Christus, a non-Jew.
Yes, they will. All religions started out being made up by somebody, and they all thought they had good reason. Oh, the volcano erupted. It must be a god in there. We got a drought. It must be a god that's preventing the rain. They start with for their time frame, a reasonable explanation for things that are happening in nature. So when they start, it's not like, see, Christians like to put this idea that, and I used to believe it too, that things that nobody said, somebody was just sitting around saying, I'm gonna start me a whole new religion based on Judaism and just start making shit up. No, they're looking around, they're believing what they see things that happen, and then they think God is telling them something. Moses didn't start teaching what he was teaching because he thought, according to the story, he thought God showed up in a bush that was burning and didn't burn. They believe in it, and the fact of the matter, Moses never wrote any of this shit, but they believe these things happen. So nobody starts it with a lie. They believe it's true.
You don't believe religion started with a lie?
I mean, it started with a lie, but they didn't know it was a lie. They didn't know that the drought happened because of weather patterns or other conditions happening with the earth. They thought it was a god doing it. They thought God made rain. They thought that the blue shit above you was water. So because they thought it was water, they said, oh, there must be a dome holding that water back. And then when it does rain, that they're opening windows, and those windows are allowing rain to happen. And then science shows that, no, that's not how rain works. And so that belief is gone. Jews don't believe that anymore, right?
No, they don't.
Because science. Because we develop and we learn and we gain more knowledge. So when I developed and gained more knowledge about the historicity of the Bible or lack thereof, then I say, okay, I'm not believing this stuff anymore. Because it's all just belief based on ancient people's lack of scientific knowledge. And the Jesus character is nothing more than a denomination of Judaism, just like we see denominations happen today. Yeah. But I do appreciate you, and I can probably talk to you for another 30 minutes, but I do want to let some other people get on here before I get off.
Sure. Well, it was awesome talking to you. When are you, how often are you on here?
I try to go live Monday through Thursday around 2:00, somewhere around the 2:00 hour.
Okay.
All right. And let me, wait a minute before you go. Even though it's hot as hell outside, and of course, since it's so damn hot in Tampa, Florida, you don't want to be outside in that Tampa heat and humidity over there by Bayshore, sweating. So call Tampa Detailing to get your car cleaned without you having to have swamp ass.
Appreciate that.
All right. Have a good one, man.
See you later.
See you later.
Appreciate it.
I actually enjoyed that conversation. Let's see. Echo is next. Thank you for your patience, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
Echo.
Oh, no problem.
How you doing?
It's been a while since I've been even on YouTube. Not too
Let
bad.
me get you to speak up.
You know where I just wanted to mention it on Buddy's comments there. He was so way off. If you're gonna pretend you follow religions and you follow that path he was talking about there,
Let me get you to speak up.
Into his
Echo. Closer to the mic.
Yeah, you there?
There you go. That's better.
Can you hear me?
That's better.
hear
Yeah,
me?
keep it close to the mic.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
Damn it, he failed. Echo fell off. Let me give Echo a few seconds to see if he comes right back before I start clicking on Evictus or Big Nine or Brent Smith. I don't know which one. I think Evictus game. Let me get Echo a minute. Oh, if you haven't lived in the Southeast there, Amanda, you don't know what swamp ass is, boy. I mean, that's when you be sweating all down in your crotch, cracky ass. It's one reason why I left Atlanta and moved here to San Antonio. That's why I could not do a mobile, any kind of work business that's an outside business. I'm not doing because it's hot. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and click on a few more people. See if Echo comes back. Let's go with Big Nine, Big Nine, Big Nine. All right, Brent. I think Brent's there. Brent. Brent.
What's good? What's good?
How you doing, Brent? You over 21?
Doing great. 56.
56. It don't sound as good as 55, but I go with it. Are you?
Got one more put on there. That's good. Okay, what's up?
Are you a believer, Brent?
Definitely.
All right. And which God?
The God that says, "Let us create men after our own image."
All right. So the Bible God. So you believe Jesus exists?
Jesus only exists in what it said it exists, and that's only in word. It's not a historical thing about it at all. And see, what we make the mistake at, I believe, and through my experiences, is looking at that King James version as a history book. And if you look at it as a history book, then the words in the history book, you got to discern the words that are in there and research the words, what it say. When it says in the beginning was the word, our whole system is based on that word, which most of the laws that we live in these great United States that they say is really relatively based on the Ten Commandments. Okay, you know, we good on that?
No, not at all.
Also, every law that's in the United States, you can't root back to the Ten Commandments. Every law in the United States that would cause you to be locked up, you won't break down one of them 10 commandments to be locked up.
No.
Because right now, the United States, the only commandment that you could break that won't get you locked up is the one with sleeping with somebody else's wife. All the rest of them, they're going to give you a misdemeanor or a felony.
But the disagreement comes that it's not based on the laws of the United States are not based on the Ten Commandments. They're based on British common law and Roman law. And then, but we have went beyond even what those laws have said and saw some of those laws as not being something that you should hold people to.
Correct, because all I'm saying is, it's not based on it as what you would call face value. It's based on an underlying value in the backside, but the front side, they do all kinds of crazy stuff with it. I agree with you because I visited TDC before myself.
TDC?
Yeah, Texas Department of Correction.
Oh, okay. I'm from Atlanta. I just live in Texas now.
I got
so you. I don't know. Y'all acronyms all jacked up. Like CPS in Atlanta is Child Protective Service, not the power company. So y'all kind of it's a little weird out here.
Okay, so
but
yeah, I got you. All I'm saying is, you made the point. Being from Atlanta and then going from Atlanta to Texas, it is a translation issue between what people say, do, and flow like.
But back to your point. If I'm if I'm driving with no insurance or on an expired license, do I go to jail?
You will.
Is that in the Ten Commandments?
I didn't say all of them was the Ten Commandments. I said the foresight of the city.
You said all our laws that'll put you in jail go back to the Ten Commandments.
That'll put you in jail. It'll go back to, that's called public law.
That'll go back to the Ten Commandments.
I got you. So you said driving down the street without any kind of insurance and no license, right?
Yep, that'll put you in jail, right?
Okay. You traveling down the roadway with no insurance. See, it's called pre-law. Because if you ain't got no insurance, the only reason why you got the insurance is to protect somebody else that you will hit, not yourself, correct?
Protect them financially.
Right. That's the system forcing you to be accountable if you damage somebody else's property.
Where's that in the Ten Commandments?
What does it say? Love thy brother. If you don't love him, you're gonna damage him.
That's not in loving your brother is not in the Ten Commandments.
Loving your brother also will not let you hit him either, and you'll be responsible for you driving down the street. But I got what you're saying. I'm just saying. That's why I said it was a foreshadow. I didn't say it was exact.
You're now saying it's a foreshadow. You said
It's still the
I'm the kind of person that takes you for exactly the words that you say. So you got to be careful with your words when you're talking to me.
I got you. Because I see the flip on it. I got you. I'm too used to be a trained person in the church and no longer in there. So I have a connection with what you're saying, but however, you still cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yes, I can.
Okay, well,
I can throw the whole Bible out the window because I don't need the Bible.
Okay, you don't need the Bible. I got you.
No.
And at the same time, so you do a Quran, right? So we can mess around and just get straight to the point. Which base of reference are you suggesting that we may be able to communicate with our inner selves? Because that's where I'm going with it.
What base? I mean, if you had to use a base, then I would say if you had to use a base, I would tell you to use Hermeticism and Taoism.
Okay.
If you have to have a base.
Because I know a lot of people that I was listening to refer to the Quran.
It sure hell wouldn't be the Quran either. Hell no.
Wouldn't, but at the same time, this is more of Jesus Christ's life history in the Quran than it is in the King James version of the Bible.
Well, the King James version is a terrible edition of the Bible in the first place. But
it is.
But the main thing here is that Jesus never existed. So Jesus doesn't provide anything. And based on the stories of Jesus, Jesus is, I pointed out earlier, he would be equivalent of what we would call a racist today.
Okay, I got you. According to how they explain it to us, you were right.
Right. So why would I base my life on someone who is a racist, even if they have good things? I'm sure Jefferson Davis loved his wife and kids. I don't know if he had wife and kids, but I'm sure if he did, he'd probably loved his wife and kids and probably had friends, probably helped his neighbor out. But I'm not basing my life on Jefferson Davis.
No, that ain't what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is this. Okay, now one is by me researching Taoism, reading Qurans and Torahs and King James versions and NIVs and the Amplified and all this good stuff right there. The thing about it is, I found that it's an inner journey more than it's an outer sight.
That's if you force the issue and that's what you want. You can figure out how to make some of the wording fit that narrative, which is why.
Your life, not journey through the Bible.
No, I know. I'm with you. I wouldn't use the Bible at all. I wouldn't, and if I was going to use it, it would be the New Revised Standard Updated Edition, which is the most accurate translation that we have from the Greek and the Hebrew. In English, I would use that version. But the Bible story, I can throw all of it out and not read not one word of it and still get to being a better person, a moral person, either by just living in society and understanding the rules of the society and why those rules are there.
You know what?
Or if I needed to read a book and have a basis based on some tradition, the Tao is way better because it doesn't have all the murder, the child abuse, the poor treatment of women, the worshiping of a god. It doesn't have none of those things in it.
You know what it does have in there?
What?
Inner self-responsibility.
Yeah, the Tao does.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that's what the Bible does. If you get the right person to explain it to you, instead of somebody telling you that something's coming out of a sky, or when you die, you're gonna go to this whole different realm.
See, that's where our
crazy stuff, man.
That's where our disconnect happens, because anybody who's explaining the Bible in such a way that it's talking about an inner journey and all this sort of thing and all light and rainbows and skittles, they're twisting these words in order to make it fit that narrative. See, I don't have to twist the Tao to fit that narrative, but you got to twist the Bible to make it fit that narrative.
Well, if you really, that's what I'm saying. In history, that word has been tampered with and changed in that Bible that we Christians say they read today. Can we agree upon that?
Some of it's been changed and reinterpreted to mean different things, which is what I was saying. You can reinterpret the Bible to make it mean whatever you want it to mean. But some things are hard coded into the Bible. Slavery is hard coded into the Bible. Racism is hard coded.
Yeah, I agree with you, because the thing I'm telling you, I'm believing is that hard coded word to where God speaks something, He proves it, He brings it to you, and you see it. Now that's an individual walk. That ain't no community walk right there.
What word of God delivers on His promises?
Well, I had a promise that He's gonna keep me. And I'm gonna tell you about this promise, because when I got this promise, what happened after the promise was crazy. So it was simple. It said everything gonna be all right. That was the beginning of my journey. And with the beginning of everything gonna be all right, and you feeling all happy and everything else, next thing I know, I'm in the back of a police car.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get out and everything. I'm gonna do right like normal people do. And locked up, got out, and got back locked up and went to prison. All this time, when I got that first word was everything gonna be all right. So that situation placed me into a point of my life to where I had to see and seek the truth of what people been telling me about this word. And so I wouldn't sit up there in 4 years playing the system of what penitentiary is penitentiary. I sat up there and I sought my Father out, and my Father showed me His word. And that word comes from all different type of ways, but you have to be sensitive enough to know when you hear it, because when you hear it, you know it. So do you need to hear that? Do you need somebody to interpret the Bible for you? No. Do you need to read that Bible? No. You have to sit there just like the Taoism will tell you, and put your mind at peace. How you get peace? You take out the worry, you take out the fear, and a lot of times that word will lead you to be able to take out the word because you're not here by yourself.
Okay, so I understand, and I'm happy for you. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy for you. My contention is I've heard that testimony from
Many
people
times.
of every different religion.
Mhm.
So there's nothing special about the Bible. What that delivered to me, and I did minimum psychological work, but I've talked to a lot of psychologists, just and just to learn from them. That is a manifestation of your own mind, and then you attach it to something that is socially familiar to you. And that is why everybody got that same story, whether they convert to Buddhism, Islam, or get deeper into whatever religion that they were previously surrounded by. And so there's no power in the actual book. The power was always you made up your mind and made a decision that you were going to change your life. That was you. That way ain't got nothing to do with no word. That was just a conduit, a tool that you happen to use.
But if that word didn't tell me to do that, like now tell you to sit down and be still and meditate, you can't go forward.
Yeah, but you could have read that. You also could have read that and looked at all the other jacked up stuff and fixated on the jacked up shit too. That's why I say I throw that whole thing out, because I would throw out the entire Bible, because you could have fixated on all the conquering and the killing and the murdering and thought that God was trying to tell you that, which is why and
not a person that's really based out of God wouldn't do that.
Yes, they can. Did God tell Joshua to go kill all them people?
Did God tell Joshua to go kill all them people?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it in history that Joshua actually killed all those people?
No, he didn't. But did God? That don't matter. That don't matter. That don't matter. Did God answer the question? Did God tell Joshua to go kill all them people?
I cannot answer an allegory with a solid question, because the allegory is the story to tell the story.
Okay, Jesus never existed and never did any of the shit that he claimed that he did, or that anybody claimed that he did. So that's an allegory too. So why wouldn't you take that as an allegory?
It is.
So why? Oh, wait, you double talking then, my guy.
No, go to the Jesus story and we'll tell you about the allegory, because I'm gonna go to you right there. Because in Christianity, they say the virgin woman had a baby, right?
Sure.
Okay. So before that virgin woman had a baby, she's supposed to have received the word from somewhere, or do you want to say an angel? I could go with either one of them.
All right, but you're okay. You said, I asked the question about Joshua killing all them people. You said it did. You said it's an allegory, didn't happen. So you ain't got to. So that part.
I say the allegory did not happen. I said that's an allegory, and you asking me a question about an allegory, and you already know that allegory. Especially, I already know, you know what an allegory is, right?
Yeah. So Jesus is an allegory. Why take the Jesus story and not take the Joshua story?
I'm saying it's both of them. Allegory. I'm calling both of them allegories.
So a person can take the Joshua story and think that they're hearing from God, because you said that now you wouldn't do that, because a person hearing from God wouldn't do that. But if both of them are allegories, then both of them are coming from God. Then both of them can be taken by people.
Okay. But you still have to understand the allegory. See, that's your responsibility as a Christian, is to go in there and make sure that you're not flying off doing anything.
Okay. The allegory of Joshua is that God has given you dominion to go out here and conquer the state of Texas.
Okay. All right. We on Joshua. We're going to stay on Joshua. In the beginning of Joshua. Okay. The Lord tells Joshua to meditate on his word day and night, because it's going to make his way prosperous, correct?
I don't know if he tells him that, but he probably did, yeah.
Okay, he probably did. Okay, now, most of the time, on the outer you, and the enemies that you're going to come across is the enemies of you fighting yourself in your mind. That's why I say allegory. Because you fight against depression, you fight against sickness, pain, all kinds of stuff that go in your body. Okay, you fight against those. So through the allegory and through the pathway of that process, if you meditate, you can start seeing your way out of certain things that's happening within you. Because just like Taoism tells you, what happens in you happens outside of you.
So you are back to forcing the narrative to fit whatever your no, you're forcing the narrative. You're forcing the allegory. You're forcing it to fit your narrative of how you live today based on your culture, because you know good and damn well you can't go out here and conquer Texas and start killing people.
I could conquer myself and take responsibilities of my misgivings. That's what I'm trying to say.
But Joshua as an allegory wouldn't teach you that. Joshua would teach you to go out and conquer the state of Texas and make it into the Holy Land that God promised Abraham.
That's if you want to go with the Catholic, South Baptist, Hogan, and all that stuff.
No,
and listen to all
that's
that
the meaning. That's the Hebrew faith. That's the Hebrew faith, man.
Well, if you
they ain't got nothing to do with Catholics.
Catholics will tell you too, because they read out of the same Bible. They just got more books in it, and they go by the same pace. Leviticus.
All right. Well, we going in circles, man. I'm gonna bring one last person up, and then I gotta get out of here.
All right, I'll keep on listening to you, bro, because you know you make some good points and everything, but at the same time, allegory is an allegory, and we all got to be responsible for ourselves because we all are kings.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Oh, this is a good ending to the story. Hey, Miss Fifi.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. You might need a cup of coffee after that.
I know I drank all my dang on coffee.
Something in there.
I'm going to the gym after this.
But you know what? I've been wondering. I know I've heard of different resurrection stories.
Mm-hmm.
Could you elaborate on that before you go to the gym?
Yes. So you mean, are you meaning how the difference is?
Well, you said different resurrection stories, so I'm just wondering how many people died and came back.
Oh.
Yeah, and what's their story and where they're from in the world.
Okay, I got you.
Okay. So,
by my meaning of different resurrection stories is the fact that before and even after the Jesus character, you had other resurrection stories by other gods or beings. So the Egyptian story has Osiris being tricked by his brother Seth to getting into this coffin, and then when he got in the coffin, Seth killed him. Then he spread out all his parts around Egypt. Osiris's wife, Isis, who she then collects all the parts except for the penis. She makes a fake penis out of an obelisk. She hovers over it. She gets pregnant. She has the baby Horus. But she had to resurrect Osiris temporarily just so that she can get pregnant. After he's resurrected, he goes down, takes over Anubis's job as the Lord of the Underworld, because prior to that, Anubis was the Lord of the Underworld. Right. So that's a dying and rising resurrected God who takes over the underworld. You got Dionysus, and Dionysus is a Greek story. Dionysus was born, but then as a baby, he was killed. And then Zeus put him in his thigh, and then he was reborn. So he was resurrected, and then he becomes this Messiah type who goes around, got some disciples, turning water into wine, meeting the guy on the road, and meeting a guy in a castle situation and telling him that why you persecute my peoples, right? So you got a little bit of the Paul kind of story in there as well. So, but Dionysus was a dying and resurrecting god. You also got, you got Tamuzi, who's a Mediterranean god. I mean, not Mediterranean, Mesopotamian god, who died, who was a god who was alive, and then he died under a waterfall. And then his wife was so distraught about it that she made a deal with the other guys, and then he was resurrected to come back and be with her, which is Ilnana / Ishtar. In the Greek, you got Persephone, and this is why we have winter and spring. But Persephone, she died and went to Hades, and Hera was like, please resurrect my daughter. And he was like, as long as she don't eat nothing down there, she can be resurrected. But then she wound up eating like an apple or something. And so she was resurrected to come back in the spring, which is when Hera was like, oh, I'm so happy my daughter's back. But then in the fall, she got to go back down to Hades as being the queen of the hell, or queen of hate of the underworld. And that's when we have fall and winter. Right. So, yeah. So we got all of those, but then we also have stories of people like Romulus, one of the founders of Rome, right? Romulus supposedly died, and then he went into their version of darkness, and then he was resurrected, and he went up into the heavens, right? There's a story about Julius Caesar dying and coming back as well, where he died, and supposedly the guys was like, no, you got to come back, and he came back, and then of course he rose into the heavens as well, right? You need some more?
Thank you, Mitch McConnell.
Oh my.
I'm gonna look up those stories to get more detail. Thank you for pointing me the right way.
And in the time frame, as a contemporary of Jesus, Apollonius of Tyana, he supposedly it's two stories. One story, he dies, and then he comes back. In another story, he just kind of like floated in the air and mysteriously disappeared while he was being charged by the Roman court. And then he reappears to his disciples like days later, hundreds of miles away. So Apollonius kind of had somewhat of a death resurrection story as well. So, and he was early first century with Apollonius of Tyana. He's out of Turkey, modern day Turkey.
Wow.
So you got that's why I was telling the other guy.
It sounds like it's a lot of male dominated religions.
Yeah, you ain't got a lot of women. Yeah, women are always substandard. Even with the gods, the women are submissive to the gods. As powerful as they are, they still have to submit to a male overarching deity. So you got all these. Oh, and Tyanus of Apollonia, when you read his story, there's a Roman senator whose daughter was dead and he brought her back to life. So you got a Jesus and Lazarus kind of situation with Apollonius of Tyana as well. So you got that's why I told the guy about two or three people ago that creating Christianity out of the religion of Tyana, of Apollonius, or out of Crestius wouldn't have been a hard thing or a big brand new thing. It wouldn't have wowed the crowd because those were already common tropes to people of that time frame. I mean, hell, even in the Jews would have been familiar with Saul. Is it Saul? Saul was one of them was Saul resurrecting Samuel. And Samuel's like, why are you doing this necromancy and bringing me back? God damn it. So even in a Jewish religion, they were familiar with resurrections. You know, it wasn't favorable unless you do it based on their God, but even for them, it wouldn't have been like, oh no, that can't happen. That's sacrilegious. They still thought that these other people, guys, did these things, and that even in their own tradition, they had some resurrections going on. Hell, they was expecting Moses and Elijah to come back. So they have a resurrection.
Wow. The things people make up.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is, there's no evidence of none of these people dying, coming back, or even existing.
Yeah.
Most of them never existed, and I'm gonna say most of them. Apollonius of Tyana might have been a dude who was walking around telling this story, but of course, all the mystical stuff about Apollonius is a bunch of bullshit.
Mhm.
You know.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, shit.
I just hope women, come to some type of logic and not, something in the pie in the sky, something that's logical. Like, we are women and we have a womb, and it's very important to human life. And
yeah, if we can get women to walk away from this religion dies.
No.
Every religion would die if the women in the religion walks away from it.
And they're the second-class citizens in the religions.
Yep, because a boy is gonna love his mama, and if that boy learns to love his mama, he is not gonna tolerate the bullshit of these religions. So if the mama is not teaching the son to be this asshole of a man, then you got a better chance of the religion dying. Because if my grandparents were the patriarch and matriarch of my family unit when I was growing up. As soon as my grandmother said I didn't have to go to church no more, it was over. I ain't have to go. My grandfather didn't say nothing. It was all my grandmother. She was the one making everybody go to church. So without my grandma, if my grandmother, as soon as she told me I ain't have to go to church no more, I was free. If she would have made me stay in that church, I might still be stuck in it.
So she would have been indoctrinated.
Yeah, and I only went back to the church 3 years later because the girl that I liked was at the church. If she wasn't at the church, I wouldn't have been going to the church when I was 15 through my teenage years and my young adult years and my first marriage years. I wouldn't have been going to the church. If it wasn't for the poom poom, I wouldn't have been going. Women don't know how much power they actually have when it comes to religion, right? And how much they control, but they give away that power to some dude standing on a platform. And
that's what we do.
Yeah, and there are just certain parts of when I sold cars, I never sold to a man unless the man was by himself. If a man walked up with a woman, I sold that car to that woman. Because if she said she wanted this car, that man gonna buy that car. Because his piece and his poom poom, if he don't get the one that she want, he ain't getting no poom poom and he ain't gonna have no peace. Yeah, so nah. Yeah, women are, if I was trying to get rid of the religion, if I seriously was trying to get rid of religion, I would target women. That's how we get rid of it. Yep. But I'm about to go to the gym. This is 5:12. My wife will be home by 3-4 minutes. And even though it's raining, I skipped yesterday because we got lazy, but I am not skipping today.
You're not skipping?
Nah, I gotta get sexy, because if I ever get to meet Miss Fifi, I gotta make sure I'm looking good, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate you, Miss Fifi, always.
I always appreciate you.
All right.
You're so you inspire me, and you have so much knowledge.
Thank you.
It's just incredible that you spend your time talking to people about this, about, hey, do you know what's going on in the world? Not just in your little space, down to the corner church. There's more going on and has going on. So, you're letting us know, and I appreciate that.
Thank you very much. If I wasn't so darker skinned, you see the red blushing. All right. You have a great day.
And you have one too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tell you, Angelina, you better be careful now. Don't let Miss Fifi come to San Antonio. Anyway, I appreciate everybody. What the dude said, the juicy trap, you big fella. Yeah, when I was a kid, shit, 15, 16, hell yeah. Yeah, that poom poom is undefeated. Undefeated. You women don't know how much control y'all got, how much power y'all got, I should say. But that is going to be the end of today's show. I should be back tomorrow. I know there are some people who follow the channel are in town. They got in. One of them's already been here. The other one just got here today. And I know we're going to plan to meet up. It'll be after. It shouldn't interfere with the shows when we meet up with them. So if you're ever in San Antonio, let a brother know. Just as much as I let you guys know when we are, anytime we travel somewhere. Well, not anytime, because sometimes when I'm traveling somewhere, I won't be bothered because it might be family oriented or something like that. Like Labor Day weekend is always family oriented. I might have to take my car. Well, no, I'm flying there. See Tampa detailing when we go to Orlando later this summer. So I appreciate you guys. Y'all have a great day. I will see you guys tomorrow around 2:00. Check your notifications if you did not get notified that we went live. Continue to follow the channel. And thank you everybody who supports the channel financially. That means a lot to me. When you guys follow the channel. I'm sorry, Echo Bully, I didn't get you on here, but that was your fault. Your phone was messing up, not mine. So y'all have a great day, and always remember. I'll be uploading. It already uploaded on TikTok, but I'll be uploading 2 more videos today on Facebook and YouTube. So check those videos out, share them. Let's continue to grow the community. And y'all have a great day, and always remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey. Good vibrations. And we are outie 500.